Welcome to the Courage Barbell Unlimited podcast with your host, legendary powerlifter and strength athlete, Chad Ikes. For most, the journey of strength starts in the gym, but should inevitably expand through all aspects of life. Join us as we discuss all things strength. Now, here's your host, Chad Ikes.
Hey guys, we're back again, and one of these days I'm going to figure out how to introduce guests really cool, but most of the time I'm just so goddamn excited because I always have awesome people on here, and today we got Jeff Frank, who, unbelievable lifter, and I kind of feel a bond to him just because of some of the mental shit we've both dealt with and experienced. And then it's really cool because Jeff just did a meet again this weekend. And how long had it been since you competed?
Roughly 7 years, a little bit over 7. Last one was actually 2016, July at Relentless, Minnesota.
Wow. That's pretty amazing. So let's start with, I tried to look up your numbers on, open powerlifting today, and the stupid thing wasn't working. What are your best numbers?
In multiply, my best squat was 1218, and the bench, I think it was only 810. And then deadlift, I believe, was 744 or 739. I can't remember on that one.
But at the time, that you were like world record, and your numbers were.
Well, I was chasing the squat. The squat. At the time, it was one of those where Donnie still had the squat. At 12 at the 1270s, and. Me and him were talking back and forth, and it was just, he kept telling me I'm going to be the first one to get 13.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, that did not happen.
So then I just watched the videos of your meet, and you actually ended up tweaking your knee, but all the numbers look so easy. Like your benches flew up, the squats before your knee were flying up. Even your deadlift looked easy with your knee. So, after 7 years to come back, and I know these aren't the same numbers, but you can't come back and expect to jump right in. It seems to me like you're coming back pretty smart, and we kind of text a little bit yesterday, and it's like, man, to me that seems like an awesome start back, minus the injury, but it looks like the injury might not be anything major.
Right. If I'm being completely honest, it's like I told you when we were talking, I'm trying not to compare, but it's like I went into this meet feeling the best I've ever felt. I'm being trained by Laura Phelps. So anybody who's been trained or watches Laura's athletes, this is the most I've ever done. Normally, come in squat and I might do, the back attack, or I might do something else. Other than that, I was in and out. I squatted, nope, done. Mm-hmm. But training with Laura just had me feeling the best I'd ever felt. And, week after week after week, accommodating resistance, bar weight, I was getting close to 1,000, if not 1,100. And, sometimes 9 with X amount of bands or chains. And so I felt the strongest I had felt in a long time. And going into the meet, I thought for sure I was still going to be sitting around 1,150. I had my eyes set on 1,200 again. It's just one of those things where I felt that good.
Right.
And, it's like I've told everyone else, that's the beauty and the downfall of lifting. You can feel as amazing as you want to, but sometimes it's just not there.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. That's what happened on Saturday. And I kind of knew it going into it, got a couple weeks out. I still felt strong, but whether it was mental or not, kind of one of those things where I'm like, okay, as long as I hit 1,100, 1,120, 30, 50, I'm okay. I'm happy. I'm right there. Mm-hmm. 1,200 will happen at the next meet.
Right.
But then that's warm up. So what led to, and I can't say this is the blame for the knee or anything, but opener was planned for 10:52. Warm ups were kind of all over the place. Mm-hmm. It's what happens when there's no one there to run the platform to get people set. So we're going up and weight, down and weight, up and weight, down and weight.
Right.
All over the place. Run out of time. I asked for 10 more minutes. I could have taken the last warm up, but I would have been right at that 10-minute mark whenever my knees got wrapped, and I would have made everybody wait. It's just I just wasn't going to do that. Not my first meet back. Yeah. So took my last warm up at 8:35.
That was the Relentless meet too, and
Yep.
There's a whole lot of stuff beyond the competing with that meat.
Right. And it's just one of those things that's just like, not my first one back. I'm not going to make people wait on me on my first meet back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took the last warm up 8:35 at about the 10-minute mark, and I got the extra 10 minutes. And I was just like, forget it. Everyone else gets their warm ups in. I'm just going to lower my opener to 1,003. I'm good to go. Like, we'll just make it happen. 1,003 felt good. Jumped I had no idea what to go from there because the plan was to go from 10:52 to about 11:20.
Right.
So I looked at JJ, who usually always handles me at all my meets whenever I'm traveling. And he goes, what's the goal? And I'm like, right now there is no goal. Like, everything went out the window. Just call a number. He said 1074. So we loaded 1074, went down in the hole. And right when I came out of the hole, my knee popped once. And then, and then right after that, it pops about 4 or 5 more times extra. And then it just feels like gravel, just grinding together the whole way up. Stood up, heard that I got white lights. It's like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm not risking that third one. I don't know what happened to my knee, but we're done.
Yeah. Well, it's your first meet back. There's no sense in even
that.
But even at that, with the popping and everything, it's still in the video. I'm still like, fuck, that was easy.
Yeah. There was a moment when it first popped that my brain went, all right, we're going to be laying on the ground here in a second. Then I realized I wasn't, and I was still going up. I was like, okay, well, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Right. So that brings up an interesting point, though, and I did want to ask you this, like how the difference in training from when you competed last time to now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you feel like you're training a lot smarter? I mean, do you feel like, I know so many big level lifters that it's almost like if we weren't beat to crap, we thought something was wrong.
Right.
And I've always thought that was wrong, but trying to get them to change that is very difficult. Like, I feel like you should go in feeling good. You should go in feeling 100%. You should be chomping at the bit to get under some weight.
Yeah. I mean, I think I come from the same mindset where it's like, the last 2 to 3 weeks, you're supposed to feel like a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
And, this meat prep, the only thing that really ever bugged me, every now and then my hip would bug me, but that's usually what happens when I start doing sumo deadlift. But, this is my first successful run with conjugate. Never did conjugate before. I've always done, block periodization, or it was Justin Gross. Justin Gross was my coach before, and you can't really say he does block. You can't really say that. I mean, he comes from the old Big Iron days, and then he does his own thing also. So he was a magician. I mean, I handled a lot more heavier weight, in the 90 percentile with him, and with Laura, it was. I can't say it wasn't 90 because with the accommodating resistance and everything else, we're reaching the max effort. The one thing I'm learning is how to know the max effort, where it's not always you have to, struggle and get close to failing. It's okay to stop at a little, a set before, 2 sets before. But the one thing I think I got to learn more is, nickel and diamonding it up to find that true number instead of just like, okay, well, that's it. I want to jump another plate, but I can't. So maybe a quarter, can't jump a quarter. It's like, what the heck? There ain't no reason.
Yeah. Well, when I trained, it was kind of like you said earlier. It's like you get so strong that I'm like, man, I'm going in and going heavy and maybe doing 1 or 2 supplemental things, and then I'm out. And it's like I got to rest.
Yeah.
And I look back at that now and I go, nah, it should have been kind of the opposite. I shouldn't have been going so crazy heavy and doing more of that supplemental stuff. And it was like on my team, it's like, no, you got quarters and plates. Like you barely get, I don't know what the number off my 405. All right, God, then throw quarters on. Do one more. Like go 110%. I don't care. Like just feel the weight, And I think that just fried my central nervous system so bad. And then I think it's also you get, which is interesting. What you said earlier is like, if now you do go into a meet feeling good, that can kind of mess with your head because you're not used to it. It was for me. I had been beat up so long that almost became normal. Yeah, and I wanted to feel normal, but normal was fucked up. So like, I imagine for you coming in going, I feel good. You're like, this is weird. Like,
well, literally the 2 weeks before the meet, I'm talking with Jake and I'm talking with JP, and I'm like, I'm at that moment where I feel like I've done enough, but then I also feel like maybe I haven't done enough because I don't have that feeling where my body is just beat up. Because usually that last 2 weeks, you get the last heavy day, you're like, I can't wait for this to be over. Like my elbows hurt, my body hurts. I'm shaking uncontrollably underweight. Like you're ready to be done. You're ready to rest.
Yeah.
Never had that moment. I mean, with benching, with raw benching, just because my shoulders are trash now and I just need to do better to take care of them. But other than that, hell, I wanted to still go to the gym and just do accessory movements and do bodybuilding movements. But it's like, that's just going to hurt me.
Yeah.
Doing all the extra stuff that's not programmed.
So it is. So do you think it'll take you a little while to adjust to feeling better when you go into a meet?
This one was an eye opener. This one was an eye opener. I think and I'm saying that now, it could change, but I think going in for the next meet, and I can't say I expect it because it's one of those things where it's like the next meet, it might change completely. I might be like, okay, this is how I usually feel. We're good. But if I go in again and I'm like, I feel great, it's like, okay, this is what happened last one. Let's just hope the outcome's a lot better.
Yeah, but I mean, really, the outcome, it still seems positive to me. Like the knee thing seems like it sounds to me like maybe your patella tracked wrong a little bit, rubbed against one of the condyles, probably irritated the articular cartilage, which isn't the worst thing in the world. It happens, but that could have been a freak thing,
Right.
Like the way the weights moved, I'm like, dude, you had well over 11 in you, in my mind. I mean, the way the weights moved. So it actually, minus the knee thing, it seems like it was a pretty good meet back. I was kind of excited to see it.
Yeah, I keep saying like, hopefully the outcome's better, and that's just the competitor in us. It's like I know what I'm capable of. To a point, but I still don't know, the full. And I feel like that's a good thing, but a bad thing because there's a lot of athletes out there who just have freakish strength, who really just don't know what they have, or they know or they think they have too much, and then you got those newcomers that come in and they go 9 for 9 not knowing what they're doing, and it's like you have no idea how strong you are.
Yeah, you went 9 for 9, but you did not push yourself at all. Like you left so much weight on the platform. It is a good thing. It was and that's an interesting thing I kind of wanted to talk to you about too, because I basically stopped competing at the high level because my depression was just I would have killed myself if I kept going. And so then when we stopped, it was like I finally got to a point where I'm like, Chad, you need to like not train for a while. You need to just not. And then when I came back, even though I've never said I'm retired, I could pop out and do a meet at any time. Who fucking knows?
Right.
But there's over the last 7 years, there's been a bunch of times where I go, Chad, shit's getting out of control. Just stop and let yourself heal up. And so then I come back and I'm weaker every time. And the first couple of times it was really hard for me because I would always compare myself to my top. And I'm like, shit, I suck. This is horrible. I'm weak. I'm like a baby. Like I benched 315. What the fuck? And I kind of had to change my perspective and go, listen, that's the past. This is where you are now. If you're doing 315 right now and that's your max, then if you do 325 in a month, you PR'd. And I kind of really had to change how I looked at it. But then like what you just said, though, it's kind of nice to know that you're like, yeah, I know I got so much more in me. Like I'm not even close to my potential. And actually know that. Really know in your heart that that's the case.
Right. It's one of those things where I feel like, I think if any older lifter comes back, everyone's just going to be like, the people that know them are going to be like, wow, like they're back. And in our head, we're not as good as we used to be. What the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
But the other people might know, like, hey, I know he's done this. Man, he's lost a lot. But it's awesome just to see him back on the platform.
Right.
And that's the thing is like, other people have achieved a lot more than I have. And, I've only been in the sport for 10 years, 11 years. But, hearing people walk up to me, oh, man, it's awesome to see you back. It's awesome to me, like, Barzini and a few other Nick Saronis and those guys. It's like, okay, that feels kind of good that people are excited I'm back. But it's like, man, I had more expectations. But it's like we said that, it's like when we were texting, that was 2016, Jeff. Like,
Yeah.
That's back whenever I was training, nonstop, and it was a different mindset completely. And now I'm trying to be better with this is just powerlifting. Yeah, we got goals, but at the end of the day, it's just powerlifting.
Well, plus you can't I say overlook the fact that when you hit those top numbers, you had been training really consistently for years.
Right.
Like I can't remember. It doesn't seem that long ago when you said you were going to compete again.
Right.
So like it's been a pretty short period of time to come back and hit those numbers. I mean, if you think it's all perspective. If you think about it in one way, you're like, "Fuck, that was really good." Like that was impressive, to go, because I'm sure you never stopped training, but I mean, I know you had dropped down in size and stuff like that. So I mean, your numbers were probably quite a bit down from what they were, and then to go, "Hey, I'm going to do a meet in this short period of time." It's a pretty successful meet.
Yeah, I mean, it felt good. Luckily I had a good amount of people I was training around from the years in between that. And like I said, it was my first meet in 7 years on Multiply. In 21 in November, we did a full raw meet, and I've never done raw, like the knee sleeves. When I first started, raw was knee wraps.
Yeah,
that was raw. And so in 21, I did my first ever raw knee sleeve meet, and that'll probably be the last one I ever do. I like the security of knee wraps. I like the gear.
Yeah.
I maybe might do a knee wrapped raw meet again, but that'll be whenever I'm just done with Multiply, done with gear. It'll be like, okay, I'm on my own now, so I got to be able to wrap myself and be able to do this. So,
well, how old are you now?
35.
Oh, you're like just getting into your prime, basically.
Yeah.
So now here's an interesting thing too. So you kind of really switched your training up.
Yeah.
I mean, the way you train, what spiked that, and what allowed you to, I guess kind of what I'm getting at is I'm thinking about like 7 or 8 years ago and in your age now and how much you've matured since then. There's so many powerlifters that are so afraid to change it all because they're like, I'll lose strength. Like, I mean, I try to get guys, I'm like, dude, just give your body a little more rest. And they're like, I can't do that. That won't work for me. And it's like, well, you haven't even tried it. And you kind of came back and went, hey, I'm going to go completely from this training that I always did to this other training. And like, you embraced it and stuck with it. And like, what kind of spurred that change?
So whenever I was raw before, my buddy got out of the Marine Corps, moved back. We started training together. And at the time, I was still doing more of a linear periodization. After we got done with that, he had shown interest about getting in gear. And we've had a guy at the gym that we've always trained with for years, since 2011, 2012. He's always been in gear. Because when he first got in powerlifting, it was gear or nothing.
Yeah.
So he's never done a raw meet, never done anything. He's always been Multiply. And it was like, hey, well, if we get into gear, we've already got another training partner. And he's always been interested in conjugate. I've always been interested in conjugate. It was one of the things where I've always overthought conjugate, and we all did.
Yeah.
So then we all decided to get into it, and we're like, okay, let's try to do conjugate. Well, we had it working for us, but we weren't doing conjugate. We weren't doing a max effort upper and lower, the dynamic effort upper and lower. Like it turned into basically max effort lower was squats. And then we do a good morning variation here or there. Maybe once every 2 months, we do a heavy deadlift. But then our dynamic effort lower, we're like, nope, we don't want to squat twice a week. We're not going to do that. We're just going to do, the dynamic effort deadlifts. Then that slowly turned into, well, let's push it. Let's go a little bit heavier weight, until it turned into basically we're doing singles or doubles, and numbers were still going up, but it wasn't conjugate.
Yeah.
We had basically tried to intertwine some little bit of linearization with conjugate, and that just does not work. They're two complete different variables, and I just don't think, especially after hearing different podcasts from different people who know conjugate, I just don't think that those two go together at all. So, I mean,
do you feel like you guys were overtraining when you were doing that?
I think that there's a possibility to overtrain, but I don't necessarily think that we've ever reached overtraining.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I as powerlifters, I'm not totally for sure if we can, just because a lot of powerlifters, we don't train really, really hard. You know, we train super hard on the main movements, but a lot of times you see them, they go down and they don't put as much effort and intensity. That's something that I learned quickly and I still not the greatest at executing that the same effort of your main movement needs to go into the accessories as well. Even if it means you're just doing more reps, you still have to bring a level of intensity or effort that goes into that. And that's where I know I get better over time,
Mm-hmm.
but having that stamina to go through that whole workout, man.
See, that's interesting because I've always been, and I think it's because I started with more of a bodybuilding background. Like my accessory stuff was every bit as crazy as my max effort stuff.
Yeah.
Like I went full on everything.
Yeah.
And that definitely led me to overtrain. I overtrained a lot in my career. A whole lot.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that overtraining may have hit because, you know, whether people believe it or not, as a big person, we're not always the greatest at eating. Mm-mm. And then when we do eat, it's like, okay, I'm hungry. Give me everything I can possibly get my hands on.
Yeah.
And then we go long times without eating. You know, I know we've joked a lot about your muscle milk days.
Oh, yeah. I was like, dude, if I can drink it, I'm going to drink it. Screw eating. I'm so sick of eating.
Yeah. But I mean, I got out of college football and bodybuilding was kind of my thing. I loved it. I was never going to be a bodybuilder, but I loved that intensity. But then when I switched to powerlifting, I didn't necessarily lose that side, but I knew my main movements are this. Okay, now let's do this, but it's going to get brought down a little bit because I've got a lot I got to get through.
Right.
And that was the problem that I've had. It's either I did accessories, not to the full potential that it possibly could have, or I'm done. Let's just go home.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I've been revamping programming and trying a bunch of new stuff lately, and it's interesting. I love talking to more people and getting more perspectives. Like yours is kind of a little interesting perspective to me because I've always come from like, dude, the accessory stuff I just did just as hard. But when you're saying it like you're saying it now, it's like, ooh, that kind of makes sense. And I think the thing with training, I don't care. There's top guys that have trained every damn way in the world. Mm-hmm. So I'm not convinced that there's actually one best way of training. I think there's a best way for each person. But I think where people mess up is that there's so many different factors. You know, people are like, oh, I'm going to increase my volume. Okay, well, if you increase your volume, is your intensity going to go down? You know, or if you have super high intensity and you want to increase your volume, you might have to back off some of that. There's like this whole balance of all these different factors. And even with the overtraining thing, I wrote an article once for Elite, and it was like, are you really overtrained or are you under-recovered?
Right.
Like if you're not sleeping enough and not eating enough, you can't really say you're overtrained because if you did those things, you would probably be just fine. You know,
and that's probably where my line leaned more to was the under-recovered.
Yeah, and so
that's where
there's all these different factors going through it. And like the intensity, if you have guys that are skipping a lot of their supplemental stuff, they're going to be able to get away with things that somebody who's doing those really hard isn't going to be able to get away with.
Right.
And it's this weird balance of trying to calculate everything. And I find it funny when there's like I'm always amazed because I've been doing this so long. I have confidence. I know that if I work with somebody, they're going to get better. But when I hear guys that are so confident on like, this is the training, this is the style, you have to do this. And I'm like, how are you that confident? Like I've been in this game forever. And I still go, well, what if, you know, there could be this, or you could have that factor, or you could have that factor. And I remember having lunch with Ed Cohn one day, and he's like, man, I feel like I have so much to learn about training still. And I went, if you have so much to learn about training, I got a shit ton to learn.
Yeah. That's one thing, like, you know, that over the years I've learned is every program works. Mm-hmm. It's whether you buy into it or not. It's 100%. And then when you constantly hear people, well, I don't train that way. This is the only way that works for me. Okay, but you bought into that training. Right. Have you bought into this other style of training? It's like I helped down with powerlifting team at Ottawa University. And, we got some great kids that they signed this year. A lot of them are national champions. Some of them world champions. 3 of them are getting ready to go over to Turkey, coming up. And it's just, that's going to be the interesting fact is they spent the last 4 years with one coach.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when they come switch over, are they quickly going to buy into it, or is there going to be a little pushback? Oh, this doesn't work for me. So that'll be the one thing to try to help get through their head.
I think you're right. That mentality of like, if you could have the greatest program in the world, but if the person doesn't believe in it, then they're not going to get those results. And you could have a mediocre program, but if the person fully buys in, they're probably going to do great, which is another one of those factors I'm talking about. Like, if you buy into the program, that's another factor that's going to make it work or not. Or if you have, I know guys that have certain programs, and I'll talk to them and they're like, yeah, all these people call me up and tell me my program isn't working. And then I go, did you do this? Did you stick to this, RPE, or did you stick to this percentage? And they're like, well, no, I could do more. And he's like, well, then you didn't do my program. So don't bag on my program.
Right.
And that's because they don't buy into it. They're not going, hey, I'm going to do this program like they suggested. And if I do have a question, I'm going to call them and talk to them and go, hey, I feel like this isn't enough. What do you think? And I think that's part of that whole buy-in. It's part of this whole system that makes it work.
Yeah, and luckily that was the thing that I knew going in with Laura, because in the previous years, like I said, doing accessory work on bench day, I do some shoulders, maybe some rear delts. On deadlift day, I was deadlift. That was it. On squat day, I would squat for 3 hours. I'm like, okay, I'm done. But going in with Laura, I'd talk with Anna Ducharme out of Michigan, and she's like, the accessories is where it's at. Talk to Leah Reichman, and she goes, it doesn't matter if you have to lower the weight, if you have to do whatever, but do the accessories. Yeah. Every rep, every set, just do it, because that's the magic in her training. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, still there'd be some days where it's like, can't figure this out, or it'd be like, and this is just the thing with me and Jay, because we've got a belt squat at the gym, but we can't stand that belt squat. So there's some days where it's like, how are we going to rig this up to do belt squat? And so we'd look at old videos, and you see Laura do it with a band, with a belt, and so that we would try to find ways to do it with that. But it's like, for the most part, we always did our accessories, maybe not to the potential that I should have been doing them. But that's the one thing I took away from Leah and Anna and a couple other people that had trained with Laura for years. It's like, do the accessories. Yeah. And as much as it sucked, we made sure we got through accessories.
Yeah, I actually just interviewed Leah and posted it like a week or two ago. And I remember we did talk about that, where it's like, you can come in and you'd be beat up and go, listen, maybe I don't need to take that max effort movement to crazy level, but I do need to do my accessory work.
Yeah.
And in the end, I think it's easy. It's so interesting, the mental side of it to me, because I did the same thing when I was competing. It was like, no, I got to get this main one in. Like, that's the important one. Mm-hmm. And so you almost get to a point where, and I think about this because I go back and think about my career trying to go, what can I learn to help the people I'm coaching now? And it was like, there was a time where it's like, you go and do your main movement and you're like, that's it, I'm done. Like, you're thinking, I'm going to rest and I'm going to be doing my main movement. That is my life for like the next 12 weeks.
Yeah.
And you really,
that's legit what I did.
What I used to really miss out on a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And then how are you fixing those weakest links, and how are you, really creating that bulletproof body if you're not doing any of the other stuff?
Right. Back then, I would just be like, well, I just want to make sure the next set's better.
Yeah.
That was the only focus. Well, the next set's got to be better. Okay, well, next week's got to be better. Like, this is what I messed up on. Okay, I watched the film. We're good to go. So, and now it's like, go ahead.
Are you leaner and at a lighter body weight now than when you were competing before?
So I weighed in at this meet at 383, I believe. And still up there, but looking back at videos, body composition is drastically different.
That's the point I'm getting at, is like, you look a lot healthier and a lot better, a lot more athletic,
right,
than I saw you before. That I kind of assumed you might be lighter.
Yeah, that's what I was nervous about going into this meet, because I was like, I don't feel, the last week, anxiety starts kicking in, nerves
Mm-hmm.
start kicking in. I'm notorious for my body weight dropping significantly that week to 2 weeks for the meet because nerves start kicking in, not able to eat as much. Went and weighed in and I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're good. Like, didn't expect that.
So
But
that's about
that's
about the weight you always competed at then, around 380.
so I usually competed around at the Arnold in 2016. I was 396, I believe, and
Still pretty close.
at Relentless in 2016 was my last multi-ply meet. I was 400, but I would usually, that's where my gear fit, and I had to be right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I might have hit 390 a couple times this whole training cycle. My majority of the time I set in the 380s, lower to 380s, mid 380s, just right around there.
Yeah, you definitely looked. I thought you looked a lot better, like a lot healthier, more athletic.
Right.
That's interesting. So,
and I would say that that's all to do with Laura's, because I've never trained this hard before.
Right.
I've trained hard, but in complete different retrospects. Like I've never done where I've literally done everything nonstop like this.
Yeah, that's an interesting. That goes. But now we're going back to this whole balance and perspective thing. I think I mentioned this in one of my last ones. Like when I was a kid, training in my basement, I wanted to read every article about every crazy training session everyone did, and I wanted every single training session to be crazy. So to me, squatting until I couldn't walk up the stairs, like that was so intense. Those sessions were so hard. And now there's a whole different level that I can reach. And it's kind of like you said, it's like, yeah, that was intense and that was hard, but there's like different levels and different types of intensity and how hard you actually train.
Right. It's like we said earlier, it's completely different. So it was definitely a learning curve. At first, I didn't have the stamina really to ever make it through dynamic effort. I feel like dynamic effort is the hardest day. And you always hear everybody, dynamic effort, you should be in and out. And I'm just like, I don't know how the hell you guys are doing this, because dynamic effort, squats and deadlifts, I am wrecked at the end of that. I'm over there. I'm panting, breathing hard, just gasping for air. Then by the time I get the briefs off and I sit for a second, then it's like, I don't really want to do the rest of this, but okay, let's go figure it out.
Right.
But whenever I hear Laura and I hear other people and I hear, all the conjugate guys, whether they were the West Side or before, like, nope, dynamic effort's quick, fast, you get through it, you get in and get out. And I'm like, I don't know how you guys did it, but I'm struggling to get through, but as long as I get through, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it's quick if you do it right, but like, I mean, if I have a team, if I'm training 3 or 4 guys, I'm on them like the whole time. And if I have one person, I got a stopwatch. And I'm like, go, get up, go, come on, go. And I'm keeping them around 30 seconds in between sets. And, I use a velocity meter. So I'm like, faster, you got to go faster. And like, they're all toast by the time squats. But then it's like, I'm going to give you a couple minutes and you're going to learn to recover. And then we got to do our other shit. Like, I'm not done yet. But I think that's one of the things that actually gets them in shape. I mean, I've had a lot of lifters who are notorious for struggling to get through a meet, and they start training with me, and in their next meet, they're like, "Wow, okay, man, I'm deadlift, cool, I feel good."
Yeah,
instead of being exhausted after they bench,
right?
Which I think is a factor a lot of powerlifters don't think about.
Yeah, and that's something that I've dealt with in the past. But usually, the last 2-3 weeks before in block periodization, we're combining 2 lifts together. Usually by the time the meet comes, I'm good and I can last the whole meet. But come that last deadlift, I used to be notorious for my hands tearing open or not being able to hold on the bar.
Yeah.
And, maybe it just came with age. Maybe it came with training harder. I don't know. But now it feels like my grip, still not the strongest point, but it's night and day difference in what it used to be.
Right.
And now I can hold on to stuff. I can, this whole meet, other than my freaking knee, I was good. Everything was just, okay, well, let's hurry up and knock out these warm-ups and get on the platform, go do it. When I got done with the meet, I wasn't exhausted, wasn't tired.
Great.
Just felt good. And that's another ode to Laura that, she knows what she's doing.
Yeah. Grip can be a good indicator of overtraining too.
Yeah. I think I just undertrained it because I hated deadlift.
I still hate deadlift. It's just not, there's no fear factor.
Yeah.
If it gets heavy, I just let go of it. It kind of bores me. Plus, I was never built for it to begin with. If I was built for it, I'd probably love it.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting, though. It's cool. I think it's really cool that you've, like, totally changed. I mean, really, from your training, it's just complete opposite almost. And that's
the one
interesting. And it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, it's hard to ever compare because, well, what if you did this a little different last time? Or what if you know? So it's hard to actually compare which is better, but it's still interesting to me to see where you go next with this training style and having a little more thought into it and doing some other stuff different, you know?
Right. I mean, that was one of the things, like, when we were touching on training with my buddy, the reason why we ended up choosing Laura is because every time we go to breakfast, it was like, well, what are we doing? Well, I want to do this. Well, what about this? Well, what about this? And then it was just like, we've all got ideas what we want to do. Well, it's like, okay, well, how about we just, you know, why not just maybe pick up Laura? Because then we have a set thing, you know, and this is what we're doing. And it was me and Jake, we ended up going on with it. And it's like, ended up working out. And it's like, when I told Laura, I was like, there's no one else I'd want to coach me. I mean, look at all the things she's doing with female strength. Like, if you can take Leah to damn near 1,000, and 1,000 will happen for her. Mm-hmm. It's like, why wouldn't I want you? And your record, you know, her, I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of, but, you know, everything she's done over her years of competing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no one else. And she actively trains people.
And Leah's really healthy.
Yeah.
Like, Leah doesn't have any major issues. She still has good movement patterns. She still has healthy joints. I'm like, you know, I just saw a girl squat 950 and she's in good shape and she's healthy. Like, I honestly think women are leading the forefront in this sport right now.
Oh,
and 100%. I kind of wonder if they're not, I mean, they don't, generally speaking, people are going to hate me because I'm going to say men and women are different. You know, women don't tend to have the ego. I can train women much easier than I can train men. They'll listen. They're more open-minded. They're not set. Like, men kind of have preconceived concepts that they want to stick to. So I think that women are actually leading this sport. And I mean, to see a woman almost squat 1,000 pounds, that's insane.
Yeah.
Like, I would be willing to say that's every bit as good as a 1,300 pound squat in a male.
Oh, 100%. And the strength is unreal. And it's coming from men, it's usually men asking men, like, oh, what does 1,000 pounds feel?
Yeah.
But here pretty soon, strong is strong. It doesn't matter who you are. Like, It's like, you know, they can ask me what 1,000 pounds feel. They can ask you. They can ask Leah.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the same thing across the board.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to say one person says something different. 1,000 pounds is 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, but when you're locked in, 1,000 pounds feels a little different. It doesn't necessarily feel like 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, it's a lot different. When you find that, and I try to teach that to people, especially on the setup, because I think a lot of people rush their setup. And I'm like, take the time to hit your setup right. Because if you hit your setup right, you can stand there with a ton of weight and it doesn't feel bad. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you can settle everything down and think about what you're doing. If you're standing there with the weight and you're shaking and you're just like, fuck it, I'm going to go. You know, if you hit that position and it doesn't feel bad, like when I did my 1221, I actually remember, I almost never hear people, but I remember people like, go. And one of my friends, Ted, he's like, go. And I'm like, I can stand here all day with this. Like, this is not heavy.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go when I'm ready to go.
Right. But that's the one thing I think a lot with women. I think they're more technicians. Mm-hmm. And I know there are some men that are technicians, but in the realm, you know, most men just, I want to be strong, you know, and I'm just going to move this weight as quick as I can from this point to this point, which is powerlifting. Mm-hmm. But going to the women's pro-am, watching these women execute these lifts, it was just so methodical and trained out, whether that's, you know, kudos to their coach or that's just how they are. It was multiple woman after woman after woman was flawless technique.
Yeah.
Even with max effort weights, they just stayed perfectly locked in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one thing that I was just blown away by, impressed by, and also motivated by. It's like, okay, I need to get back to being more technically sound, because you hardly ever seen any of the women get out of position.
And that's kind of where I think it goes back, because Laura's funny. I interviewed her a while back on the podcast, because I've always liked Laura, and she's so humble. And it's like, Laura, like every time I talk to a top female powerlifter, Laura's name comes up.
Yeah.
Like, she has had such an impact on female powerlifting. And so you know, if I'm like trying to figure things out, I'm going, well, wait a minute. If all these women are doing this good and Laura's a major factor, is it kind of like, is Laura having an impact on that? Like, hey, your main lift's important, but listen, you need to do this supplemental stuff.
Yeah.
And where women are more apt to go, okay, that's what Laura said, that's what we're going to do. Where men are more apt to go, I just got to lift heavier weight. I just got to get stronger. Like, the hell with technique. I just got to get stronger.
Right.
And women will kind of listen to it and go, well, yeah, if I work this technique and do what Laura says, I'll get stronger.
Yeah. And that's how I get the women's pro-am. All those women are built and developed head to toe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether they come from Laura's stable or Amber,
Right.
you know, coming from Dirty Gym and their coaching, and other people just coming from all over the place. They all came in built and developed head to toe. I mean, and I guess that was the one thing to say for women's powerlifting also, especially at that level. They know that it's not just main movement.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of men out there that are developed also. But, you know, like I would beg to say that women know that it's this plus all of this also.
Yeah. And how many of those, I mean, I can go down the list of the men that are just messed up. I mean, messed up movement patterns, horrible flexibility. And I mean, I'm talking, I've worked with some guys that are completely and utterly freaking yoked. And I'm like, but your shoulder's fucked up. And really quickly, I can easily figure out, yeah, your shoulder's fucked up because your anterior capsule's tight as piss. And even though you got a big back, it's weak as hell. Like, you can't even hold your scaps together. But with women, generally speaking, I mean, if I'm going to compare the top to the top, the women they still have good movement patterns. They still have flexibility. Like, they're actually working the whole system. They're working the whole body as a system, not just trying to work the muscles and the skeletal muscular system.
Right.
And I think that's something that men could pay attention to. And it's something I've preached for a long time, because it was funny when I've trained a couple IFL football players, and then they were in Division I college football players too. And there would be times where I'm like, all right, everybody's doing strongman today. And I would load up a yoke, and my football players would beat my strongmen and my powerlifters.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, like, they've never even done this. Like, how the hell did he just pick up 1,000 pounds and run with it? Like, he can't squat. He squats like 6. How the fuck did he do that? And that got me thinking more and more, because I've always worked on my flexibility. But that got me thinking more and more that, like, wait a minute, athleticism is still a huge part of this sport and a part of our being healthy and lasting longer. I mean, because the fact of the matter is, you can only gain strength so fast. I don't care what you do. There is a limit to gaining strength. So you need to be able to I mean, most of the top guys I know, they're 10 to 15 years in before they hit their best numbers.
Oh, 100%.
Well, the healthier, you got to stay healthy for those 10 to 15 years. And I think a lot of that is doing all this other stuff. And I think I was actually texting with Leah this morning, and we were kind of talking about that, because I'm like, I almost think some power lifters, it's like, you could take one more day off a week from heavy training, but do these movement patterns, and I think you're going to end up being a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have a little more rest, so you're going to have time to recover and time to grow, but you're also going to keep yourself much healthier in the long run.
I think as guys, we have a hard time doing that, because it's like, oh, I want to lift.
Oh, hugely.
I want to lift.
Well, I'm going to ask you my question now. This is my question.
Okay.
I'm asking everybody. If you could train less times per week, maintain the strength that you have, and possibly even get stronger, would you be willing to do that?
So that's the hard one, because I enjoy just going to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I thoroughly enjoy just going to it and just, the main part, a lot of it's also is that's my only social time.
Mm-hmm.
But if I could go and just sit, if I'm allowed to still go and just sit
Yes.
around and kind of just
Yes.
hang out.
Yes.
I'm sure at first I would have pushback, but I guess, if it's shown, it's like, nope, guaranteed, you train less, you're going to get stronger. I might give it a shot. It's one of those where it's just like, I love the gym so much, man. Like, I don't know if I can sit there and give a definite answer.
So
even if I just go in and just, do triceps or because still in my heart, I still love chasing a pump. Who doesn't?
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm not allowed to do anything but guaranteed to get stronger, it's one of those where I'm like, that it's an easy yes, but I don't know if I can easily say yes.
So that's a great answer. Kind of back to what we were just talking about. Leah is the first person that said yes, like without much hesitation. And I didn't really put a pin on it that she was a female at that time. But after we just talked about it, I'm like, it's funny. The first female, like everyone else I've asked is like, no, won't do it. And I'm like, but isn't that why you're a power lifter? Because you want to get stronger? But there is, and like you said, because I've thought about all this stuff, I go, for a lot of people, the gym is the social interaction. For a lot of people, the gym is how we deal with other things in our life. I mean, I know for me, like I actually just came to this realization not too long ago. I first started lifting. I told myself it was for sports, to get stronger at sports, but I was lying to myself. The real reason, or the first time I lifted was I need to do better for football. I need to get stronger and faster. How can I do that? Lifting weights. But the real reason I kept lifting after my first training session, it helped me control my anger. Like I loved the feeling after training where all of a sudden I'm calm and I'm happy and I'm content. I loved that feeling. And that's why I trained most of my life. It wasn't until powerlifting and until Tate called me out on it that I had to go, wait a minute, Chad, why do you have to be in the gym every day?
Yeah.
Because Dave basically goes, you got two choices. You can train to deal with life, or you can train to be one of the best in the world, but they're not going to go together. And I went, oh, fuck. And that sent me down a rabbit hole of dealing with a lot of my issues, which that's a lifetime journey. But so,
right.
I think it's really interesting. Like a lot of powerlifters say they're doing it to get stronger, but there are underlying reasons underneath that. And I think while you're wrapping my brain, I'm like putting all these things together right now. It's like, I think that's a male tendency. And I think there are some females, I'm running into some females that are doing that, like pushing themselves into depression, and they won't stop lifting because lifting is how they dealt with stuff. And now they're afraid to not do that. But for the most part, I think that's more of a male thing than a female thing.
Yeah. I mean, and it could also be argued that, like male or female, mental health doesn't care. If you're hitting
that's true too.
But I would, because you could also go with males. I mean, what guy doesn't want to look good? What guy doesn't want to go get their arms pumped up? And so I think there's a lot of arguments that can be done with, well, if you could go less amount of days, would you? No, hell no. But whether it's based off mental health or not, I don't know. It could just be because they've done it for years. For me, it's just one of those things where I've done it for years, but also the mental health. But even now, I don't necessarily need the gym for the mental health. Mm-hmm. I want the gym, and then that's led to me enjoying training more. But I love people watching. Mm-hmm. Like I love just seeing. Now I'm not good at people watching because I don't hide my expressions very well. So if I see somebody do something crazy, I'm like,
next time we hang out, I'm gonna people watch. I'm gonna watch you people watching.
So I'm not the greatest with hiding my expressions, but it's like, going to the gyms here, like I love watching people. I
Well,
love watching people win. I love watching people, like, how they do stuff, how they
mhm.
load, the amount of times they take breaks, or like, okay, it's been, X amount of minutes where they've gone, okay, they're getting ready to go. All right, let's just watch them.
One of my favorite things. Well, I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in St. Louis, and back in my day, you could just go hang out at the airport. So my best friend, his dad worked for I think it was Delta, and so we would go to the airport and hang out, and then we'd go visit, eat lunch with his dad or whatever. And I loved watching people at the airport. I just loved watching people. But one of my favorite things at a meet is watching people right before their lift.
Yeah.
Because I think you can look in their eye and you can go, this dude's getting this if it kills him.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can go, this guy's already done. There's no way he's getting this lift. And it's interesting to me to watch people and watch them that close to actually see where they're really going to take it. But yeah, people watching is awesome. I love people watching. And I think people watching, I think people watching helps us figure things out about ourselves too.
Right.
So one of the things, like when I came to the realization that, like, listen, am I lifting for all these other reasons, or am I actually lifting to be the best in the world? Which I fell short of. I think I was ranked second at one time. Maybe I was first for a little bit. I don't remember. But that's what I started doing, because I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to trick myself. Like, I know I have a very strong brain, but having this strong brain will screw me too, because I can get so locked into a thought. So I'm like, I got to trick myself. So that was when I actually ended up finding out Louis was doing some of these like recovery type sessions, and he was getting more into the GPP sessions. And so I'm like, all right, well, okay, so then I could still be in the gym, but I'm not lifting anything heavy, and I'm only in there for like 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, let's try this. And I found out it worked really good. But the reason I started doing it was I was just trying to mess with my head to be like, okay, Chad, you were in the gym today. The world is going to keep turning. Everything's cool because you were in the gym. So you can relax now.
Right.
But I actually found out it did work. And I actually think when I talk about overtraining a lot, I think there's a lot more of it happening than people want to recognize, especially with men, because men don't. If I tell a guy he's overtrained, most of the time I get kickback because they feel like I'm insulting them. And I'm like, I'm not saying you can't keep going. I fully know you could keep going and you will probably beat yourself into the ground. I believe you have that skill. What I'm saying is, if you want to optimize your gains, you need to back off a little bit. Like, it's not an insult. You can cut yourself as many times as you want, and your body's not going to start healing cuts faster. It can only heal so fast, period. So I'm not insulting you. Like, I have horrible recovery. I am one of the worst recovery people I know. Well, it's not really my fault. Like, I don't feel bad about it. It just is what it is. So I think a lot of people they take offense to it when it's like, I'm not saying that. Like, I'm saying you're a badass. The fact that you can overtrain means you're pretty goddamn tough.
Right.
Because 90% of the population will never even get to that point. I mean, go to Planet Fitness. There ain't nobody in the world that's ever overtrained in a Planet Fitness.
I mean, other than they just feel the effects of soreness.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh no, I got to rest today. It's like, oh no, you're just sore. Keep going.
So I think there's this whole mental, and I think all of that kind of goes to a mental thing in it. And I think it's good for lifters to go, why do I lift? And why do I need this? And is lifting an addiction? Like Dave Tate said something the other day, and I actually want to talk to him about this when I do my next roundtable, where he's like, it's not therapy if you're not getting better.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, so if you're lifting to deal with shit and you're going to live for the next 50 years just to deal with it, then stop saying it's therapy. Like, it's just a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
And I know
100% I agree with that.
And I know, like, I think one of the best things in the world for me was going into powerlifting, because once Dave called me on my shit, I had to make a choice. And that choice was, no, I do want to be this good. And okay, if I do want to be this good, then I got to figure out why I have to train every day. So it made me learn more about myself. And then, of course, going through all my depression and stuff made me go, like, I mean, I look back now. I think I've said it on a podcast not too long ago, and it's probably the first time I said this. My depression and how bad my suicidal stuff got was my own fault.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I pushed myself into it. It was me. I did it. I did it to myself. I didn't know any better, but I mean, it was me. It wasn't something that just happened to me. It was me.
Right.
Which is not a fun realization at all, but you know, the truth's the truth. You can try to run from it, but it's the truth.
Right.
So,
and I would probably say that a lot of people else's could be argued that it's their fault, because a lot of times we never address it. We never take the time to stop and address it. And I'm just going to go to the gym, or I'm going to drink, or I'm going to do this. And it's just, no, let's just suppress it. Let's just suppress it. And unless you're going to address it, it becomes your fault, whether we want to admit it or not.
Yeah. And you can compartmentalize and put in a box everything you want, but at some point your storage is going to be full and that shit's going to start coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So you're better off just dealing with it and moving on. And I think kind of like you mentioned a little while ago, you're like, lifting is actually more fun for you now.
Yeah.
Like, you're not lifting to deal with anything. You're lifting because you like lifting. And for me, like my training now, I literally train because I love to train. Like I no longer feel like I have to be in the gym. I just do it because I like it.
Yeah. Still part of me loves that pain aspect.
Yeah.
Because I still like seeing how far I can push myself. It's like, okay, I can push myself here, but can I go here?
Yeah.
And you know, my training partner Jake, one day, we were at the gym, and someone said something like, "Oh, that's really cool," and Jake just turned around and laughed and goes, "Yeah, it's not cool having mental health issues," because it's like part of that is still kind of like, you know, part of the mental health. Like, whether we, you know, battling stuff or not, there's some days where it's like that pain you get, it doesn't affect anybody negatively. It doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect somebody else. But you can use that, and it still gives you that kind of like that you're still alive. You're good.
Yeah. I think I could argue that I think it's whether it's mental health or not. I think you could argue that in terms of what is the goal.
Right.
Like basically, if you never test yourself, you're never learning. I mean, we have to put ourselves out there to truly learn stuff and to make ourselves better. If you don't ever test your mind, you're not going to get smarter. If you don't ever test your body, you're not going to get stronger. So those tests now, and I know exactly what you're talking about because I'm tweaking my training and trying some different stuff right now. And part of it is when I do train, it's full on, man. And I'm not doing it for any other reason than like I'm trying to test myself. How far can I push this to stimulate growth?
Yeah.
You know, and it really is. It's not. Yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy the feeling. Afterwards, it's so funny because I'll be dead. I'm laying on the floor just in sweat, dead, and I have a huge fucking grin on my face.
Oh yeah,
because I'm like, oh, this feels so good.
Yeah, that's the point where I could argue like maybe that's an addiction, because I'm the same way. Like you take me to that edge, it's it sounds weird, but it's almost like euphoric. It's like, yep, I'm here.
Yeah, but
I'm good.
Isn't it an addiction, or are you doing it because you like it?
Right, but it's true, and that's what I'm saying. Like anytime I have a chance to push myself, I love it. I love it.
One of the things that helped me with my depression was if it got really bad and I was worried I would do something, I would go out in the desert. And I would either take my quad or my razor or whatever, or I would go hike up a mountain and I would just sit on a cliff. And I mean, I've sat in the desert without moving for 6 hours before.
Yeah.
And I got to thinking, when I started getting better, I got to thinking, I'm like, wow, wait a minute. Is the desert a crutch or is it a tool? And like, I kind of started this kept running over in my head, and I'm a little bit of a control freak. So like, it got to the point where I'm like, all right, I got to know. So I gave myself a year, and I said, you will not go out in the desert for a year. You're not allowed. Can't do it. So whatever's going on, you got to figure out a different way to deal with it. And so at the end of the year, I went, okay, the desert is a tool. I don't have to have it. I'm going to be just fine without it.
Right.
And I think now for me, the gym is the same way. It's a tool. If things go bad, I can use it, but I don't have to have it.
Right.
And right now, the funny part right now is, and I've always looked at strength in what I think is kind of a weird way. So even when Dave's like, you're training, basically, Dave, he's like, what do you think you should do? And I go, I think I'm training too much. I think I need more rest. And Dave's like, well, why the hell aren't you doing it? Well, Dave, because I need to go to the gym every goddamn day. That's why. And eventually I went, well, wait a minute, Chad. If you think you're so tough and you think you're so strong, why do you have to go to the gym every day?
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm playing around with all these different ideas. And one of my ideas is like, wait a minute, shouldn't I find the minimum amount of gym time I need to stimulate growth? I go, because then at least I have a solid starting point. So right now I'm actually lifting one time every 7 to 10 days.
Yeah.
Which is insane for me. Like that's insane. That's so long. And there's been tons and tons of struggles, the mental struggle. We're like 3 days and I'm like, Chad, you're losing size. You're getting weak. Like you haven't trained in 3 days. And I'm like, no, stop it, Chad. That's not even logical. It doesn't work that way. You know that. Forget about that. And so I've been running this one for like 8 weeks. I get stronger every single time I train.
Yeah.
Which in my brain, I know the logic of it, but it's never been that. It's always been like, no, train more. We need more. You need more. Like how many people do you know who they're like, my bench isn't going up. I'm going to train another day this week. My bench isn't going up. Okay, I need to train another day. And before you know it, the guy's benching 5 days a week.
Yep.
And you're like, dude, every time you add it in, you get weaker. Why can't you understand to go the other way? But there's this more thing. And so to me, it was a challenge. It's like, Chad, can you train once every 7 days? If you're so tough and you're so strong, you should be able to train once every 7 days. Because the mind, having a strong mind is every bit as important as having a strong body.
Right.
So if you can't do this, you're weak as shit, and you're going to have to face that fact. So and then it's like, okay, well then I'm doing it, and then we'll see what the results are. But either way, I'm doing it.
The least amount I've ever gone is 3 days.
Yeah.
And even then, that was tough. Even though I was hitting everything I needed to hit, well, no, I wasn't. I was only doing main movements. Mm-hmm. Like that was back in the time where I was only like, okay, because it was 4 days, but the fourth day, it would only be like 3 of us show up, and it'd be me and one of our old training partners. Well, he's still a training partner, but our old time training partner. It'd just be me and him leaning on a reverse hyper and talking the whole time. Like that was our fourth day. We hardly did anything on that day. But even then, having just that fourth day of just talking helped a lot. But only training 3 days at first was rough. So I'm like, man, I'm not doing enough. That, and I loved training. Yeah, I love squatting. I love benching. I used to hate deadlifting. I actually kind of enjoy it now.
That's the caveat to it all is what really is your goal?
Yeah.
Is it really to get stronger? Is it really to get as strong as you can? Well, then you got to look at these things. And not to say, I mean, I totally agree. And I know, because like when I had my team, if you look over my powerlifting career, I took my whole team and we trained less and we trained less and we trained less. So from when I started competing to where I finished, went from training like 4 days a week down to like 2 days a week. And I actually did less than that. And every time I backed everyone off, every time I gave us more time to rest, everybody got stronger. Every single time. Yet, every time I decided I needed it would take me 3 months before I would pull the trigger. Because I'm like, no, we can't train less. Like, no, nobody else is doing this. And eventually I'm like, Chad, nut the fuck up and believe in yourself. You know this is right, so just fucking do it. And everybody would get stronger. And like the big one was 12 to 14 when I had one of my guys, really strong dude, lifetime drug free. He was mid-9 squatter. He didn't want to go to 14 days. He's like, no, I'll be undertrained. I'm not taking any more rest days, blah, blah, blah. And I go, nope, this time I'm putting my foot down. This is what you're doing or you're not training with us. I'm not, and then I'll train on my own. And I go, okay, whatever. You got to do what you got to do, man. I don't blame you. But he did, and he stayed with us. And then like 3 months later, he did a meet and he squatted over 1,000, benched over 7, and pulled like close to 8.
Right.
And he looks over at me and I'm grinning ear to ear. And he's like, I'm not fucking saying it. Fuck you. I go, you already did.
Yeah.
I already heard it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
But hilarious. It's so hard to do. And especially if you love it. And I love, my sister came up, this was probably months back now. My sister came up to visit and I hadn't trained in a few days. And I'm like, Becky, like I got to go in the gym and train, man. I got to train. I go, I'll make it a short one though. I go, probably be like a half hour. I come back in like 2 hours later. And I'm like, yeah, sorry. And she goes, oh, I knew it was going to be a couple hours anyway. And I'm like, I can't fucking help it. Like I get in there and I'm just having fun. Like I just love training.
Yeah. I mean, that's what, even if I, like after the meet, when I go in there and just do blood flow and just basically just pump stuff, just to get stuff moving, I could think that I'm only going to be there for an hour.
But I think,
and before I know it, to 2 hours.
I think there's such a benefit to that. And I think, like with the stuff I'm playing with now, the key is when you do train, you got to be all in. Like you got to go, you got to push the limit. And then it's going to take so much time to recover. But then it's also good. You also got to give your body time to grow. And I think that's something a lot of people don't admit. They're like, well, I'm recovered. And I go, but that's the same thing as you having an injury. And the first day it feels good, you're like, oh, I'm going to go train again, and then you re-injure it. It isn't healed yet. It hasn't adapted. We need to recover from the training session. Then our body needs to adapt to be stronger. And if we don't give it that time, it doesn't happen. And what we're doing is we're going into the gym, and we're going into the gym, we're going into the gym, and we're making these little increments where we could be making bigger increments. But because I like being in the gym, one of the other things I'm thinking about playing with this program is, okay, I'm going to have a day, like there's a lot of stuff I miss when I'm training a lot, you know, because I'm thinking about, I'm in the gym and I'm training heavy. I'm like, so why couldn't I have, hey, today you go to the gym and do some mobility stuff for your shoulders. Today you go in and do some mobility stuff for your hips. Today you're going to go in and do that rotator cuff work that you never have time for. You know,
right.
Or you're going to go in and work, you're going to go in and go ahead. You know, I never worked my forearms. But right now, for some reason, I've got a couple new clients, and I'm like, dude, your forearms are like weak as fuck. Well, there's a whole nother little training session to get somebody in the gym. You know, so they can be in the gym. It's 20, 30 minutes. They get to socialize. They get the feeling of being in the gym. They get that sense of well-being. And they're still accomplishing something.
Right.
And again, it's like tricking the brain and going, yeah, because I'm kind of an antisocial dude, but you know, I mean, I totally understand, you know, my team, even though we don't train together anymore, we're still family. Like I had such a connection with those guys, and that can be so amazing. So like, I understand wanting to go into the gym, wanting to be around people. And then when I do online clients, and then I do, in-person clients. With my in-person clients, I prefer to build groups because it's so much better. Like people, it just becomes totally different. And all of a sudden, before I know it, like these people have each other's numbers and they're texting each other all the time and sometimes talking smack about me, which is fine. I don't really give a shit. But yeah, I mean, I understand that whole thing, and you kind of need that. And like I tell people too, I go, I'm not going to recommend most people only train one every 7 days. My recovery is horrible and it sucks, but I'm like, hey, my extreme sleep problems gave me a lot of insight that most people don't have. So I was actually able to watch my training partners at the time and go, wait a minute, whoa, what's going on here? Like your sleep is kind of starting to fail, and your sleep is exactly like my best sleep now. Well, that's it, dude. You're not training again until you start sleeping.
Yeah.
So I was able to keep my guy, and with my depression too. I mean, in a way, it's a gift because it allowed me to see a perspective that most people never see. So I was able to catch all of my guys before they ever went down that path that I went down.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's probably a good thing too, is having somebody that's been down there, and then they can recognize different things.
Mm-hmm.
And simple as just like, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
Whether they take it and they open up with it or not, it's almost one of those things where it's like, okay, he's asking, he knows, or he sees,
Mm-hmm.
or sometimes just hearing somebody ask, hey, how are you, is enough.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing too. I mean, I got really good with the guys on my team where we were always asking each other questions.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, how's your appetite going? How's your flexibility going? How are your joints feeling? You know, and if somebody came in and they're looking a little gray and they're looking kind of worn out, like my team didn't go, come on, dude, nut up. You got to get your shit done today. We would start asking questions, and it would be like, hey, you know what? Dude, your warm-ups look like horse shit. You look like shit. You're done today.
Yeah.
You know, and then they heal up quickly. And I mean, like the guys I had, especially with sleep, one of the first things that happens is people's sleep will get really restless, or they'll lay down and fall asleep really fast and they're asleep for 5 minutes and they wake back up.
Yep.
And it's like, as soon as that would happen, I'm like, dude, that's it. You're done. You're done training until you can come in here and tell me you've had 2 good nights of solid sleep.
Yeah.
And then bam, all of a sudden they're PRing again. You know, where I've seen so many people go down that path and it leads to depression and all these other things. So speaking of that, you have your strength over suicide,
mm-hmm.
which is awesome. And I've always had a shit ton of respect for you coming out and talking about that stuff. How is that now? And do you think there's any difference in your training from, I mean, I guess I should start with, do you think weight training can be detrimental to depression?
I think the same way that you talked about it. It's whenever it's a need. And then if something comes up in life and you can't go, then you're going to spiral. Mm-hmm. It's like, nope, I need to do this. Because then it's all jittery and it's like, okay, when are we done? When are we done? And then you become antsy. You become, short. And then you start messing with different relationships in your life, whether it's friendships or a relationship with a girlfriend, wife, husband, boyfriend, something. And you get short. Well, then you have that compiled on with you not going to the gym. And then you go to the gym, everything's all hunky-dory until you get home and you realize, oh, nope, you messed this up. Mm-hmm. So I think weightlifting can affect it negatively whenever it feels like it's, if you use it as a crutch instead of using it as something that's good. And I've done that before where it's like, nope, I have to do this. I have to be in the gym 5 days a week, 6 days a week. That's how I feel good. Or I'm upset and pissed off. I just need to go to the gym. And yeah, it helps. But it's like we talked before, and like how you said, it's just a Band-Aid. Yeah. It just puts it on there and you never address it. It's like when people drink and they just want to do it to forget. Usually it helps until you get drunk and then you remember everything. Right. And it's just one of those things where it's like, unless you're going to address it, I feel like every lifter that uses lifting, that's how they deal with their depression. It never gets better until you address it. Right. All you have to do is just try to address it. And lifting becomes that much better for you. So do you think, I think that like, as much as I've lifted in my life, before I really started powerlifting, and I always tried to lift to be strong, but I never really overtrained, not to that extent. Mm-hmm. And so I think that there's this point of training where it's actually healthy. It can kind of release some of those chemicals and it can kind of level you out. But again, still, I totally agree with what you said. So this is kind of a separate version of that. But once I started training powerlifting and I got to that point where I was a high level athlete and I could push myself this far, I feel like overtraining would spiral my depression and make it way worse, to the point that I'm sitting in my apartment with a gun to my head in tears. Alarm goes off. I go to the gym. I have a great training session. I feel great. Come back home and I'm in the exact same spot. Like, it only helped me this little bit. Now, when I say overtraining, remember that the body has multiple, I think there's like 11 systems, from your digestive system, lymph system, pulmonary system, skeletal muscular system.
I could overtrain my central nervous system and pretty much all the systems in my body and still get stronger. Like a lot of people think, well, if I'm getting stronger, then I'm not overtrained. Well, that's not true, because there's a point where your skeletal muscular system will recover faster than any other system, I think. So that could be doing good, but I'm still doing damage to all these other systems in my body. And so you're creating a, damn it, I can't think of the word, an accumulative stress on your body. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. So the whole time I'm like, no, I'm getting stronger. So fuck it. I'm getting stronger. But I'm sinking deeper and deeper and deeper into depression. Mm-hmm. And I was actually heard, it was one of the big lifters, and he was on Dave's, on the round table, and he was like, oh yeah, going into a meet, he goes, I'm crying at commercials and like I'm all messed up, and I go, but you're saying that like that's normal. Like that's not normal. Yeah. That's not good, because you want to go into that meet 100% recovered. You don't want any system in your body behind. You want everything functioning 100%. So if your skeletal muscular system is recovered, that's great. But what if your digestive system isn't? Then you're not getting the nutrients you need. What if your central nervous system isn't? Then you're not necessarily firing as fast as you can. Your stability's not there. I mean, a big overtraining thing is how well you file your muscles. So like a lot of times people will all of a sudden have a huge problem bracing. And they can't figure out why. And it's like, dude, you're overtrained. Like bracing takes a lot of your central nervous system. Your central nervous system's screwed. So you can't brace for shit. And then they're they're going to start doing all these other bracing exercises and do all this other shit. And it's like, dude, just take a week off, man. It'll solve itself.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you remember this, but when we were at the Arnold and we were driving to the actual compound to go train, we had a conversation about, and I think this is where it could tie into, I was getting stronger, but diving deeper into depression. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about the 3 gas tanks in life. And I feel like, definitely relatable to us, to you and I, how we could continually get stronger at some of our lowest points is, I think it comes down to those 3 gas tanks. And those gas tanks were like the one, or, it's just your self-talk. I can do this. Mm-hmm. The second one is someone tells you can't. Man, fuck you. I'm going to show you. And then other people saying, hey, congratulations. That's awesome. Like, you're amazing. It fills that gas tank. You're able to use that gas. That third one is, we talked about how it's like race fuel. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know how to cut it off, it just keeps rolling. Mm-hmm. And that's like that one where it's like the past traumas, the things, the real negative bad shit, that Pandora's box. When you open it, you got to make sure you shut it. Yeah. Same thing. Whenever you're getting ready to get underneath, whatever the weight is you're getting underneath for that day, and you unlock that gas tank or you flip open that box. If you don't know how to cut that line off or shut that box, awesome. I mean, I did it in 2015, 2016. I was, hammering away at 1200, nailed 1200 that year, nailed 1200 at the Arnold in 2016, hit it 1218 in July at Relentless, but I did not know how to cut that line off. Mm-hmm. So I'd rock it at phenomenal day. Everything would be great. Get home, I'm up till 2-3 in the morning. Not necessarily depressed, just sitting there like, man, what the hell? I just had an amazing day. Why don't I feel like I had an amazing day?
Right.
And then the next day comes whether I'm training the next day or not, I'm waking up still, can't sleep, waking up early, doing whatever, and then just kind of like sitting around, not going outside, not doing much of anything. And then it's like, okay, well, training's tomorrow. We're good to go. Everything's going to be great. Mm-hmm. Go in, phenomenal day again. Come home, same thing. Not going to bed till whatever time. And, whether I'm gaming or whether I'm doing nothing, I'm still up.
Mm-hmm. You're still not
and
getting
then waking
rest,
up early, waking up early again, doing the same thing over and over and over and over. So, and it's just one of those things where I feel like it's, for the high level people or for anybody, if they know how to cut that line off, there's a potential that deep dive might not happen. I mean, there's still a chance for it to happen.
Yeah. Well, I think too, and I don't think people realize this either. any one system can affect the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if one cog goes out in an old school watch or a grandfather clock, it only takes one little cog to go out and the whole thing shuts down.
Yeah.
So when you have these multiple systems, and one of the things that people don't seem to understand is when you're in depression, you're kind of an idiot. Like, you do not make intelligent decisions. You do not see clearly. So depression is a snowball effect.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you get into depression, and especially if it's from training, that means that system is at least overtrained. And now you're on the edge of a knife. You need to make intelligent decisions. But you can't. You don't have the capacity any longer to make that intelligent decision. But I think if you can learn to be aware, if you can learn your triggers and learn to go, hey, listen, I'm kind of in depression right now. I need to second guess my decisions, or I need to have people around me that I trust. And I was fortunate. One of the reasons I was able to stop powerlifting when I did and go, listen, my life's more important than this number, was because I had people around me that did that. Like, I had one partner, I would literally walk into the gym and Ethan would go, you're not training today. And that, at first, that was hard. I couldn't deal with it. We would have huge arguments. And after a while, I went, he knows. I don't know how the fuck he knows, but he knows. He was always right. And once I just learned to listen to him and go, listen, I'm depressed. I can't make an intelligent decision for my life right now. I'm going to trust the people around me. I'm going to put good people around me, and I'm going to trust them. And recently there was a lifter who put up this huge all-time lift. And afterwards I found out that they were struggling with, well, hey, I just got this lift. Like, what now? What's next? What's this? And hindsight is always better. So in hindsight, I was looking at the training going into the competition and stuff. And I'm like, damn, dude, all the signs are there, man. Like, depression was coming in, and then it hit. And then so at that meet, like this, and then this whole thing created this whole huge thing. And then struggling with this depression after the meet and stuff. And it's like, that none of that had to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I personally struggle with, I think, what do they call it? The Lord's Prayer. Grant me the knowledge to change what I can and the knowledge to know that I can't. I want to help. I want to help everybody, because I've been there and I know how miserable it is. I don't want to see anybody suffer from depression. So like, I'm like, how do I reach that person? And then once they're in depression, then how do you reach them? Because by that point, it's just hard to see. And it's not a knock on anybody. I'll say the same thing. When I was in bad depression, I was an idiot. I look back at some of the decisions I made in depression and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? Like, holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a fifth grader would have fucking known better than to do that.
Yeah. I've definitely been there. We made a lot of dumb decisions and you don't even realize you're making them. But I just had a brain fart of what I was getting ready to say, but it had to do with everything we were just talking about. It'll probably come back to me. I don't want to hold anything up.
Yeah. It happens to me all the time because my brain's going through 900 things at once.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still
flash.
think about this, and I think so many people associate overtraining with their lifts.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I did one more rep. I'm not overtrained. Like, no, you can still be overtrained. I'm not saying, I mean, you can be overtrained, but in the long run, if any one of your systems is overtrained, you're slowing down your gains. And what the fuck is the name of this game, man? The name of this game is I want to lift the most goddamn weight possible, period. Like, that's why I powerlifted.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I lift for that reason? No, not anymore. I lift now because I just fucking love it. But I still want to be efficient, and with my clients, I want to be able to give my clients the most efficient gains that they can. So I'm like, hey, if okay, you hit a PR, but could we have been here a week ago? What can I do to optimize this to make the best gains possible?
And it just came back to me. You were talking about how the lifter had, like, the post-meet blues and That's the one thing that I had that I always battled with a lot is I would focus so much on the goal at hand, not address anything coming up. And then after that meet was done, man, it would take me 3, 4, 5 weeks sometimes just to want to train again. I got nothing coming up for. So what's the point? What am I doing? I would try to start squatting. And as much as I love training, my goal's already done.
Yeah.
Even though I have a goal, it's not there yet. I'm not ready for it. So then I'd have that, what am I doing? What am I even doing? I'm just sitting here wasting time right now. I got to figure this out. And coming off of this meet, normally, I'm right back in the gym, and whether I'm accomplishing anything or not is something else. But this is the calmest, clearest moments I've had after a meet. Like, even me saying it didn't really go the way I wanted it to, I'm still just like, I got another meet picked out.
Do you think that's because you're not in depression this time?
100%. I can't say 100%, but it feels like 100% that it's like, and don't get me wrong, depression's never gone. Like it's a daily activity. It's a daily, I don't want to say chore, but it's a daily chore to address it, have those little self-talks, whether you're actually going, how do I feel today? It's more of just like, I wake up and it's kind of like, you just know, you just have that feeling. And it's like, if I don't feel that way, it's like, let's just lay in bed for a little bit, see if I go back to sleep a little bit or not. And if I don't, then you're sitting there, well, I just pissed half the day away. Then you're upset about that. But a lot of times, if I'm feeling where I'm just like, I'll just lay there for a little bit, and then I get up because my dog's sitting there laying right next to me, and she's just snoring away. Doesn't probably knows but doesn't know. She cares more about sleep than I do. But now it's just like I get up now, and it's just like just feel good, and it's clear headed, and whether that's to do with the style of training now or whatnot, or just, being in a better spot. It's just now it's for the first time, in the whole time of being in multiply in gear. I'm not just sitting there going, we'll just go to the gym, stand around and be mopey. It's like, okay, well, whatever, when I get the chance, when I go to the gym, do my stuff, get out. I mean, I walk more than ever now. I go to the gym and I start each session on the stupid treadmill. I've never done that. I mean, when I go to the public gyms, first thing I do is I walk in and go straight to the treadmill. What the hell's wrong with me? I've never done that. And I just enjoy it now. I listen to my music, just sit there and look outside the window, and I'll walk 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes. There was one time I walked the whole hour and it shut off on me. So I guess they have that time when it goes down to a cool down. I about fell on my face on the treadmill. Now I'm only walking at a 2.0, but when a 2.0 goes down to a 1.0 like that, I about sit there and tripped on my face. I had to look around, make sure no one saw it. And I'm just, it's a weird thing to enjoy that. But I do a lot of visualization when I'm on the treadmill too. So, and that's what I love. Like you could beg to say that that's an addiction, but I enjoy it. I love the feeling when I'm on the treadmill and I can visualize everything. Like each lift, there's times where going into this meet, I had visualized stepping out from 1,100, 1,200 pounds and seeing the crowd go nuts and high-fiving the kids and, giving hugs to the kids, just like what happened in 2016. But in 2016, I visualized myself doing it, but I never visualized myself, walking out, but, everybody just sitting there cheering. But like this one I'm getting goosebumps right now just telling it, because I remember when it happened, I'm sitting there walking and I remember visualizing myself standing up to the weight and then hearing everybody just, yelling, the judge with the rat call and walking out and the 3 white lights flipping. I just had everything visualized. And I think visualization is huge if it's positive. If you start visualizing negative in any way, I guess it can still be a positive thing. If you're like, for moms and dads, like if something's on their kid, they can visualize and they can get you stronger. Me, not so much. I can't visualize negativity. I have my visualization has to be positive.
Okay, so I just wrote myself some notes because you just hit on a bunch of funny, interesting, awesome things. The first one is like, so how you used to feel after meet. It seems to me that like going into that meet as you're getting depressed, you're using that goal and then compartmentalizing everything else in your life. It's that goal. Mm-hmm. And that's the way I was. It was like, that's how I could be sitting in my room in tears with a gun and time to go to the gym. Because that was the goal. That was what was keeping me going at that time. So then after that meet, you're like, okay, well, I hit the goal. Like, is it, I imagine it, and it was kind of like this for me. Okay, well, I hit that goal. I would immediately set up a new goal. Like, I didn't leave the meet without having my next goal set up. Mm-hmm. But it seems to me if you don't do that, then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, like all my focus to forget about all this shit was on this goal. Well, I just hit this goal. Like, and like on a subconscious level, maybe it's your body going, then you're going to have to deal with this shit or get yourself another goal or something, you know? Yeah. And I wonder if that isn't part of why you have that whole feeling.
Right. I mean, the cool thing is I have a hard time. I think everybody has a hard time relating with celebrities. Mm-hmm. But the awesome thing about, you know, depression and the goal orientation thing that really clicked with me one time is I was listening to Tyson Fury's podcast. And he talks about how whenever he dove into depression hard and drugs and alcohol and everything, it was because the only goal he had set up, he was going to be a world champion. That's all he was. He was going to win the belt, be a world champion. He hit it. And he even said that after he you know, won the fight, got the belt, he said he instantly was like, what now? I achieved exactly what I wanted to achieve. I don't have anything else to do.
Yeah. And
there's nothing else.
And it is, yeah, but I think that's part of depression anyway. If you're, I think being that focused on a goal and you can't mm-hmm. see anything else, I think that's part of depression, and you've compartmentalized everything.
Yeah.
Like, so you have, I mean, like, dude, how honestly, like, I have a lot of shit in my life. I have a lot of things that I really like to do. I have a lot of cool people in my life. How could I possibly think that, like, well, I hit that goal, it's over, what? Like, how couldn't all these other things that I love pop into my head if I was not depressed?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it should be like, yeah, fuck, got that goal, cool. I can't wait to go to see my parents, or I can't wait to go play with my niece. Like, there should be something in there. And if it's not in there, that leads me to believe that there's some sort of depression or some sort of focus going on. And one of the other things you said, I laugh sometimes when you're talking because I'm like, oh my God, dude, he's in my head. Like, how the fuck's he in my head? Like the one where you said, like, you're laying in bed and you're like, I can't get up. Maybe I need to sleep. Or I'm fucking not feeling. And then you do get up and you're like, half the day is gone. And you're pissed off for wasting half the. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Because I'll be like, Chad, you just need to get some goddamn sleep. Just stay in bed. And then I get up around 1:00 and I'm like, fuck, I fucking wasted half the day. God damn it. And it's like, I can't, sometimes I can't win. I feel like I can't win. The walking thing, that's super interesting because I've been walking a lot. Actually, Lee asked me the other day, she's like, how often do you walk? Because I walk and I'll do like, I'll shoot like a little Instagram video of my thoughts. Because when I walk, I don't like to listen to anything. Like my part of me walking is working shit out in my head. So like I always have these different concepts and I'm like, hey, maybe I could do a quick video and stir some thoughts in other people and help them maybe, you know? So I'll do these little videos for Instagram when I walk, but I think walking's huge. Like so underrated as a way to get in shape, as a way to get your body to kind of burn a little more of its own fat. Like walking is huge. And like one of the consistent things I've always read with depression, get out in nature and walk. Like, I think that's almost always one of the top 5 things. So I think walking's huge in that, and walking, that simply might be a big factor in how well your training's going. I mean, not to underestimate any of the other shit. Cause I mean, I have a ton of faith in Laura and her skills and stuff, but I mean, maybe that plays a big role in it too. And in getting in shape. And I think walking is awesome to help speed recovery. I mean, I think it's so overlooked.
No, I agree with that because it's the one thing. It's like I remember at the beginning of training, wasn't moving enough, and then when I started walking, I was like, oh wow, knees feel great, my body feels good, my hip's still my hip. I mean, it just hurts whenever, and it's only when I throw in sumo deadlifts, I'll be walking and randomly get like a sharp pain in my head. I'm like, oh man, that's not fun. And then if I ever get rid of sumos, go back to conventional, the hip pain goes away and I ain't got to deal with it anymore. And it's never, I can't really say pain. It's just more like a shock almost.
Right.
Like I could step down off of a curb and it just randomly hits. But walking in itself, but the thing is I always have my music on when I'm usually at the gym whenever I go walk. At just the gym just right down the road. I'll just get on the treadmill and I remember listening to one of Dave Tate's recordings where he's like, he listens to just crazy music. Like there was one where he talked about like just doing something crazy and someone picks up your headphones and you got Christina Aguilera on. And it's like, I listen to just a lot of music. One of my favorite artists of all time is Frank Sinatra. But it's like Sia's Unstoppable. But Sia's Unstoppable, that is, it's one of my favorite songs. And that sounds crazy to say because a lot of people where at the gym I come from, it's a lot of heavy rock.
Yeah.
Powerlifting itself, rock, rap. I love 90s hip hop. But you give me like Third Attempt and Dubuque in my raw meet, my teammates had them play Tina Turner and Kygo, What's Love Got to Do with It?
Yeah.
And as I'm pulling that deadlift, you can hear the crowd start singing the chorus. Yeah. And I remember I'm just all grins. I love upbeat music. And so usually whenever I'm walking, I don't listen to anything tough or hard or pumps you up. It's just feel good
something
music.
To feel good, something to make you want to tap your foot. Yeah. In my gym, I play all kinds of random. I almost never, if I got a powerlifting group and they want something heavier, I'll play that, for the big lifts. But I'm like, no, I want something to make you it's just in the background to make you feel good.
Yeah.
And I love old, like Sarah Vaughan that woman's voice was just absolutely incredible. Incredible. I can't even, just listening to it calms me down.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one is visualization. I was really big on visualization when I first started. That was part of my training. Like there was 20 minutes, go into my room, shut my lights off, set my alarm for 20 minutes, and I'm just going to go over the lifts. And there's plenty of studies out there that they've taken people and not even let them do the movement, but visualize for a month or two, and then come back and they do the movement better.
Mm-hmm.
So like you can really build some serious neural pathways with that. And it's cool that you do that. And I totally agree that that's absolutely huge. What is interesting to me is how you said now you're actually visualizing it sounds like you were just visualizing the lift before. Now you're visualizing the success and the crowd cheering. And you're kind of going, to me, it's like, well, dude, what you just said seems like you're mentally healthier because you're actually visualizing the whole thing. You're visualizing not only you making the lift, but like a little bit of the reward afterwards.
Right.
And that, when you said that just like my brain just went ding, 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 ding. Like this is actually something that's really cool. And I think means a whole lot more. It's something that could subtly just go by, but I think there's a lot more to that. I think there's a reason you're doing that. And I think it's probably because you're in a better place and you feel better. And that's awesome.
Yeah. Because it for a moment during the whole training, I thought that I lost that part of it because visualization was huge. I remember you and I talked on the way to the compound when we were at the Arnold about visualization. Now I talked about like every time I unracked the bar, whether it was the bar, 135, 225, whatever, I treated it like 1,200 pounds because that was the goal. So by the time I got to 1,200, literally there's a picture of me before I get underneath the bar. I have my eyes shut and then I just start smiling. Yeah. I already know I got it.
Yeah.
Already know I have it. I've done this 1,000 different times. Even though I've never had 1,200 on the bar, I've done it 1,000 times. Let me get underneath of it. I'm going to do it. And then for a long period of time, I wasn't going into that spot of visualization. And then I was walking on the treadmill one day and I'm just walking and I'm looking around, looking outside. There's a little dog thing underneath. I'm just watching the dogs, one of the workers bring the dog out, letting them walk around. And then all of a sudden I just sit there and I look up and I just start thinking about the squat. And I'm thinking about, okay, break at the hips, go down, squat up, hear the up call, come up. And then right as I was thinking about coming up, all of a sudden it switched over and I'm thinking about walking out of the rack, seeing the white lights, looking back at the white lights, looking back at the crowd. I'm never one to celebrate. I'm like, yeah, but I don't really get too animated. Sometimes I get animated in the gym, but hardly ever do I ever get animated in the meet. And, you know, I did my whole normal, just threw my hands up or threw my fist up, but I could see all of it. And then I started thinking about it, and then I went back, and I was able to take it from an opener, second, and a third, all in that session on the treadmill.
Mm-hmm.
Just visualize it the whole time. And each time I could see the lights. I could hear people screaming and cheering. I could look over at my training partner and seeing him excited. And it was the most, and it sounds weird calling it an out-of-body experience, but it was the most crazy out-of-body experience. But it was one of the best feelings all training cycle. I was like, okay, that side's still there. It hasn't gone anywhere. Right. I've still got it. I can still get my goal. Whether it happens at this meet or not, I will hit my goal because I know I can visualize still.
I think you got it. I think
visualization is the biggest thing.
I think it's elevated from where it was before.
Right.
That's so interesting. That's fascinating. So, my experience with talking about depression, I kind of first came out with it because I was at that like get busy living or get busy dying point.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, writing it made sense. And then once I wrote it, it was like, I need to post this. And that was a tough decision. I stared at my computer for like 3 hours before I hit enter. And then I woke up thinking, oh shit, I'm fucked, dude. I'm going to lose all my sponsors. Everybody's going to I just fucked everything up. But it turned out to be this great positive thing. And a lot of people started opening up to me. And people that I had it is amazing how deeply people can hide depression.
Mm-hmm.
And how much they can play the role in life. So I've always kind of felt like, hey, I can do this. Like I can talk about this. Like even I've been in tears on podcasts. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I can do it. So I should do it. And it seems like there's a lot of people that can't do it. And to me, that's a strength. How did you find the strength to open up about it and start talking about it?
I remember my very first post that I ever made. To this day, I got invited to the Olympia to go compete. And it was 2014. And the only thing that I wrote was, it's crazy to think a kid that wanted to commit suicide at one point and now going to go compete at the Olympia. It's crazy how much life can change.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I had hundreds of people that I either went to high school with, college with, you know, different teachers that I had in the past, coaches. It's like I never knew. I was like, well, why the fuck would you know?
Yeah.
I didn't talk about it. You think a depressed person that wants to commit suicide or just a depressed person period is going to show you? Like, hell no. We got very good at smiling. We got very good at acting like everything was okay. And then from there, me and one of my best friends from high school, Kent Fleming. A lot of people don't know that we went to high school together. But Kent was the third person in the world that's caught 1,000 pounds raw. And me and him were sitting there talking. And at the time, I trained with Al Caslow and Michael Greeno and that group. And theirs was SOS, Society of Strength.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Kent just started talking about it. He's like, SOS, you know, what about like strength over suicide? And I was like, well, it's actually not bad.
Yeah.
So we were trying to think of like a brand. And that was the first thing we came up with. I talked to the group, asked them if I could use the logo, and just went from there. And the logo kind of, you know, SOS, distress call from a ship, things
Mm-hmm.
like that. But then after going from that, going to the Olympia, then Scott Nutter sees my story, invites me to Relentless. That's from there. That's whenever my story started being known more, because Nutter wanted to know more about it. Other people started asking more questions. And I was like, well, let's see what, you know, just putting my story out there. And at the time I thought like, you know, well, if I tell my story and I'm able to help people, that'll help me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the most bullshit thing I ever convinced myself of. Because I thought, I'm going to tell my story. It's going to help people. That's going to give me the sense of, you know, gratification. And I'm magically going to be healed. Nope. Because it was 2014, you know, told a little bit, 2015, 2014, I actually got interviewed by some online strength magazine. I don't remember where it's at now. Someone actually did the whole looking it up and like archives thing. They found it and sent it to me again. 2015, I was doing it. 2016 was going, and then I went silent from, towards the end of the year on 2016 to about mid-year 2017. And it was me whenever I just realized, like, nope, you got to fix your shit. You're doing a lot of dumb shit. You're hiding a lot of stuff. You're not talking. You're not willing to address stuff. And that's whenever I took a lot of time and, went not radio silent, but radio silent on the SOS, everything. And it was just like, how can you sit there and keep talking about all this whenever you don't even feel this way? And that's what now, whenever I post stuff, sometimes I make sure people understand, like, half the time, this isn't me writing this as some inspirational person. This is me writing this as a reminder to myself. Mm-hmm. But if I'm writing this for me, there's going to be other people out there that need it also. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times it's either I'm telling my story and it's just like showing people like, hey, just because this is it, doesn't mean stuff can't be good. Stuff can't happen as well. But then a lot of times also it's, it doesn't matter, like there's been a few of my last posts and it's not talking about things being better. It's, it's talking about like, hey, you can feel like this and still be able to do this or still be able to go down, but then come back up. It's okay if you got to rest, but then you got to get the fuck back up, start walking. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that times, that's what a lot of people don't realize is it's not me just trying to be inspirational. It's me. It's more of a reminder to me. Like I might be feeling good right now, but hey, let's remember this because there's going to be times where it might be hard to get out of bed and that's okay, but we still got to get up. Mm-hmm. So to answer your question after rambling, it was more the 2014 whenever I got that invite in that first post. And then it was the creation of SOS. And in 2016, I think really solidified it. Even though I went radio silent after a little bit, I took the bullet I had. Because I had kept the bullet. There was one bullet I had for the gun. And the last time I loaded it, I opened it up, chambered it, put it in my mouth, bit on it. And then I sat there and I was like, that was way too easy. Took the time. That's whenever I started really thinking about it and talking about stuff. Took the bullet out, put it back in my safe. Mm-hmm. Then I went to Relentless that year, and Scott Smith, I call him my mentor. He's one of my best friends. Lives up in Michigan, and he was at Relentless in Minnesota, and we met up the day before we competed. And we always walk up. It's either hugs or the whole bro handshake and hug. And we did the whole bro handshake. And whenever I did it, I had my hand closed and he opened his hand and I dropped my hand into it. And he goes, what? And I was like, shut up. I don't need it anymore. And then he closed it, put it in his pocket, and then he realized what it was. And then he just bursted into tears. And it was one of those things where it's like, okay, that's done. I don't need it anymore. We're good. We're done. But like, there's still that depression. But just because I fall in depression now, or if I have moments, I never have that sense of, I'm going to take my life. Mm-hmm. That instance to me may still be there. I don't know, but it's not there. If you were to ask me, I know life can go up and down. Life can get better. Life can get good. I have no desire to take my life. Just because I've experienced so many ups and downs and the beauty of life now. Yeah. Along with the negatives, mm-hmm. is I know just because it's really bad doesn't mean it's going to stay bad. The only way it stays bad is if I do that. And if I do that, I don't make anything better for anybody else. I hurt a lot of people. Yeah. And that's the one thing I learned. And that's why I think that was me passing that along. It's like, I don't need it no more. That used to be, waiting for the moment or my crutch or whatever. It's like, well, at any moment in time, I can just end it. Yeah. And I don't want to end it. I love it. I got on the platform, even though I'm not happy, just because I'm like, there's more there. Yeah. I'm over. I'm to the moon and back. Yeah. I got back on the platform. I competed. I seen people smile, people have fun, everything. I went ups and downs and it's worth it. Yeah. It's worth it.
I think that's so interesting. And I would say like for me, continuing to talk about it and try to help people, it's interesting what you said about like thinking it would make you feel better and then you knew you had to work on yourself. I've kind of already worked on myself, and I'm still working on myself. Like you said, this never stops. Like it's going to be life. But I want to keep working on it because then I can look back on it and go, hey, some good came from this, and I like that feeling. But I think with my short little videos I talk about on Instagram and stuff, like when I do my walks, like I'm thinking about all this stuff, and maybe I'm having a bad day, and I have a tendency to want to compartmentalize stuff, and so I do a video about, hey, compartmentalizing is okay for a very short term, but you got to deal with stuff. And that's the way it is. So it's kind of like the same thing as you, where it's like, I'm going to have ups and downs. And I want people to know that we're all going to have ups and downs, but your downs don't have to stay there. Like it's going to come back up. And the better you get at it and the better you do this. And for me, like going on my walks and having these thoughts and having my own little thought experiments helps me continue to see that there's going to be good and there's bad. And I learn from the bad, which makes the good better. And like, I'm just progressing. And as I go through life, I'm going to get better and better at recognizing triggers. I'm going to get better and better at knowing, hey, this is kind of happening. If I do this right now, it's going to start getting better now instead of getting worse than better.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this education that's continually going to be there. And that's a good thing too. Because just like in the gym, without stimulation, we don't grow stronger. Without stimulating our brain, without trials, we don't get better. So some trials aren't bad, you know, and if we look at them the right way, we get through them much faster and much easier.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting.
I'm not religious at any points. I have my beliefs, and I feel like you have the right to your belief. Whatever you believe, you believe.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like, you know, the one thing that people might argue saying that, oh, then you're religious, is I feel like everything happens for a reason. And I feel like a lot of people believe that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like every negative, there's a lesson in everything, I think, that I feel like.
Yes.
And, you know, and everything happens for a reason. Whether you ever figure out that reason is a different story. You know, it might happen long down the road. But I feel like, you know, me going through everything that I went through has finally led to me being like, okay, I can understand that I don't got to die. I can live. You know, and the whole, we've talked about it before, not to jump off subject, but listen to speeches. That helps me awkwardly a tremendous amount.
Mm-hmm.
Because I listen to all the speeches of, you know, Rockies. You know, life will beat you to your knees and keep you there if you let it.
Mm-hmm.
If you let it. And that's the biggest part of that speech I take from it, is if you let it. And it's like whenever I write my post, it's okay to be fucked up. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be depressed. It's not okay to stay that way.
Yes.
And that's the main thing. That's like every time I listen to a speech, there's always that same type of story in there that it's up to you. It's if you let it, like Rocky said, if you let it. It's not about being stubborn. Rest as long as you need to rest. Eventually you got to get up. Anybody can help you up. They can't make you walk though.
Yeah.
You got to walk.
I think that transcends life too, though, because
Mm-hmm.
feelings just happen. There's not always rhyme or reason to feelings. So you can't say I'm not going to feel that way, because you might feel that way. But what you're going to do after that feeling comes on is totally up to you.
Yeah.
And so in some way, depression's an interesting one for me because like right now, I don't feel like I've suffered from, say, a clinical depression in quite a while. But like you said, I still have this depression. I still have days where I'm like, man, I'm not leaving my house today.
Yeah.
I'm going to lay in bed. I might watch TV, but I'm not doing shit, and I'm not seeing anybody, and I'm not answering a phone. And to me, I'm like, this is not like me wanting to kill myself depression. This is like kind of possibly a life depression, and a degree where there's probably lots of people in this world that feel this way and do this.
Yeah.
Most of them aren't going to post it on social media because, you know, that's just the whole racket, that fucking thing. But so I think like there's like normal life depression and clinical depression. And I feel like I've kind of kicked clinical depression. Who knows? It might come back. But I feel like I'm to the point when it gets that bad now, I notice it before it gets bad. And I'm able to like, hey, I need to back off training a little bit. I need to hit more walks. I need to make sure I'm getting a nap in. And like my focus on my life kind of changes a little bit at that point to go, okay, it's happening. Let's stop it now. That's my main goal right now.
Right.
And I think that has helped me tremendously where before, we still got to get ready for this meet. Like, I don't give a shit. You got to train. You got to train. You got to train. And I mean, I think in the end, I didn't hit numbers as good as I could have if I would have just backed off a little bit.
Right. But also I think that, now knowing what you know is you probably still could have trained. And it's like, okay, well, now I know I need to go do this right now.
Yeah.
Here's training. Just got done with training. I need to be selfish for about an hour because I've got to address this. And that's the main thing, like with SOS that I've talked about is got to be selfish. And people that understand why you're being selfish won't care.
Yeah.
Because it is 100% okay to be selfish. It's your time. It's your life. Yes, you affect other people with your life. But if you want to be able to fill other people's cups up, your cup has to be full too.
That's
at the time, other people might not be able to fill up your cup because you are not letting them. So be selfish, fill your own cup up. But then also you got to learn other people can do stuff too.
Yeah.
And it can help you. And that's where I think a lot of us fall is no, I don't want people helping me because then you feel like a burden and then you feel like this. And that's, I think the worst thing ever is to feel like you're a fucking burden. And granted, we've all felt that way because we went through depression.
I've had friends go through depression and I maybe I don't talk to them that much. But I know they're in some depression and I'm looking at their Instagram, and I'll call them up and I go, hey man, dude, you're doing awesome. I'm glad you're out of it. And they're like, oh no, I'm not out of it. Like I'm still struggling. And I'm like, but why does your Instagram, like, why are you posting all that stuff? And then, and the same note is it's interesting because these people will go, Chad, man, I have so much respect for you. The fact that you come out and you talk about it and you tell people you might not be doing great that day. That's so cool. And I'm like, but then you won't do it and you say, I'm not going to bother people with my fucking problems and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, can you not see that you're totally contradicting yourself? Like, how can you respect me, but you're not doing it too? And I think that kind of goes along. And because I felt this way too. I'm kind of one of those guys when it's bad, I just want to be left alone. Because I feel like if I don't want to bring people down, I don't want to ruin their day. But now I see it's okay, man. Those people want to help you. Like it's okay to accept help, and especially if you let it in and it makes you feel better. But that's still something that's tough for me, and that's something I'm still working on. But I think people need to kind of be aware. It's okay to say this, and it's okay to talk to somebody, and especially if it's somebody that knows. Anybody that knows is going to be totally cool with it, and they're actually they're going to learn something probably about themselves, and they're going to feel better that they were at least able to help you with your experience.
Right. And then I would also say that it's okay to be, I just want to be left alone for a set amount of time. Give me a second. I just need to be left alone for now, but I promise we're going to talk.
Yeah.
It's like, if it's bad and it's just like, I just want to be left alone. That other person shouldn't feel upset. Well, I'm their friend. Why won't they talk to me?
Yeah.
But that other friend needs to be told, we will talk. I promise I'm going to talk to you.
Yes.
But right now it's here. Give me a second to bring it to here, and then we'll talk. And sometimes you just have to get over yourself and be like, I want to be left alone, but I know I need to talk. So let's talk.
Well, it's funny because I got put on the other end of it with a friend. And I was like, man, this sucks being on the other end of depression too. It's no more fun than going through it. Cause you're like, they need to just kind of focus on one thing right now, and that's what they got to do. And then I'm here going, no, talk to me. I can help you. Why won't you talk to me? And I got to go, stop, Chad. Like, you're on the other end.
Because you wouldn't.
This is a good fucking learning experience for me because I am on the other end now and I know better what it feels like,
Mm-hmm.
But until you're actually there, you don't quite understand it.
Yep. I fucking, man, I've lived that firsthand too.
I can help you. Let me talk to you.
And then you eat it yourself, and I'm an overthinker. So then it's like, well, why won't they talk to me? What did I do? Mm-hmm. And then they talk to you, and you're like, oh, fuck, that was me. I do the same thing. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, well, fuck, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's interesting though too, because I did that same thing. That part of like, did I fuck up? What did I do wrong? Why won't you talk to me? Mm-hmm. And then I went, and this was a really good learning experience for me, because then I went, whoa, Chad, why are you jumping to that conclusion?
Yep.
And so I kind of went back to some things that happened in my childhood, and I'm like, Chad, you have a tendency to jump to this conclusion, and you've actually thought this thought before, but you apparently didn't work through it enough or go deep enough into it because you're doing it again. And it might just be something that this happened in your life. And I mean, I kind of know where that comes from through some stuff in my childhood. And maybe it's one of those things where like sometimes you can't completely solve it, but you need to just remember that the next time it happens, go, this is why I'm doing this. All right, knock that off, Chad.
Yeah.
Maybe it's so ingrained that it's going to take me 50 years to completely get away from it. But if I can recognize when it happens, that will actually solve the problem,
100%. And also, I think another thing that a lot of people don't address, I mean, and I would beg to say a lot of males in powerlifting, in strength sports and bodybuilding, because the pressure goes everywhere, is I think males have more of a negative thoughts or untough thoughts to therapy.
Oh, I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah, and it's actually something I'm actually I'm looking into going back to, not because of my thoughts or anything, but just like, there can't be nothing wrong with having therapy again, helping to address different things, helping to stay on top of different things, and, being able to understand why I process things a certain way. Mm-hmm. And there's a shit. And the thing that I didn't realize till recently, there's so many avenues for therapy now. Telehealth is huge. You can talk to somebody just on the internet, just like a Zoom call, just like this. I would, maybe that would work.
I have seen
but I think
that apps for that. Yeah.
But I would also beg to say, that in person, the setting, like I feel like it's all about everything. And now, granted, finding one that's best for you might be different, because a lot of us, I think we're going to go in, barriers up, walls up. I don't know who the fuck you are.
Well, I think that's an interesting topic too, because I think that therapy is a pretty big umbrella. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm going to go as far as to say this conversation with me and you is kind of therapy.
Yeah.
And definitely conversations that we've had not on a podcast, I would definitely say are therapy. And I mean, I think to some extent, I've really tried to open my mind to myself. Like, how deep can I really go with myself? How truthful can I be with myself? And it's kind of like, I call them thought experiments, because I heard Einstein, a lot of his stuff, he would do thought experiments, and which is basically just going, I'm going to pick an off the wall concept and I'm going to try to put myself in as deep into this as I can. So I kind of like to do, okay, Chad, here's what you're doing. Let's do a thought experiment. Why are you doing that? Let's look at it from every possible angle. Let's go as deep as we can. And I consider that therapy. But I do think at some point you need talking to somebody else is something that is going to help tremendously, and calling us on our bullshit, kind of, like somebody that goes, I know you said that, but that's not the case. Like, dig deeper, Yeah.
And finding a friend that can do that can be hard. But if you have someone like that, will call you on your bullshit, no problem. Then that's a friend. But then it's almost like, okay, how many friends do I know that are actually going to sit there, listen to everything I have? Whoa. And how many are going to say, no, that's bullshit? Or is it just better to go to somebody, unbiased opinion? Mm-hmm. And I used to be one of those guys, well, I'm not going to pay a fucking therapist. I'm not going to do this. They just went to school. Well, a lot of these people went to school because they've had something, or they know somebody that suicide, mental health, depression, and they want to be able to help people, or they have. And that's why I've gained a lot of respect for therapy over the years. Because I would beg to say probably in 2015, I've been the last person to recommend therapy, even though I've been to therapy.
I do have a hard time with therapists that have not experienced it. And I try to find people that have been through it.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely a different take. And even like just talking to people that I know that have been through it, it's almost a whole different, because you're going to tell me what to do because you read a book. You have no idea where I'm at. You have no idea where I've been. If I'm talking to somebody that's been through it, I know they know. I know they know what that pain feels like. And I think that's totally different. But it is interesting because I've had relationships that ended because I'm always trying to better myself. Mm-hmm. And somebody who doesn't want to better themselves doesn't want to be around somebody who wants to better themselves, because then they start feeling bad about themselves. And I have friends. I have some really good friends that just don't want to talk about this shit. Like, they don't want to. So, like, how could you ever talk to them? And then, like you said, finding the friend that's actually going to go, listen, I fucking care about you. So I'm going to tell you what I see. But to me, that's the same difference of in strength training. My team would get criticized and people would say, they're so hard on each other. They're so this or that. Because if you did a lift and everybody's going, well, you needed to do this or this better. And we didn't tell you if it was good, we didn't say nothing. So you knew if we didn't say nothing, that part's good. Tell me what's wrong so I can fix it. But it is hard to find people. Well, I don't want to hurt their feelings. Well, you're hurting their feelings worse by not helping them. They're asking you, like, tell them. Yeah. Even though it's hard, tell them.
That's what through the years here in Kansas City, training with Greeno and JP and Ben Moore and a lot of names here. The motto used to be was we got the gym name on the front and on the back it says no yes men.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if your opener is slow or this weight moves slow, you hear it all the time at meets. Oh, easy, lightweight, easy. That was easy. Yeah. The main thing was to be no yes men. It's if that looked like dog shit, like, yeah, you stood up. First thing that's coming out of our mouth and you walked out. Good job. That looked like shit.
Yeah.
Make it better.
I'm like, wow, you made that a whole lot harder than it should have been. Maybe you get it right next time.
Yeah. And there was times where delivery sucked. Delivery of that sucked. Mm-hmm. But it was one of the things like, yeah, you're right. Okay. Mm-hmm. It sucked. Sometimes you get mad. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Mm-hmm. Like, I just did that. And then you look at it, you're like, oh, yeah, that was dog shit. That was horrible.
But the good thing is after a while, if you're with those guys long enough, you kind of start, you understand they're telling that because they want the best. And you start going, no, I don't need to see the video, dude. If you told me this is what I did, then that's what I did. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I got some funny stories about that shit, man. Because when I started, I kind of handpicked the guys who first were on my team, and I knew more than anyone else. So I was coaching, and I wanted to teach everybody. I wanted everybody to know what I knew so we could all get better. And guys are like, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. I'm like, fuck you, yes I am. Who the fuck do you? I'm the fucking head of this team. And then we started videotaping. And then I'm like, son of a bitch. You guys are right. God damn it. And then after a while, it's like, dude, don't even show me the tape. You guys told me this. This is what it is. It's, I have full trust in you guys at this point.
I mean, there's still times today, like whenever I'm helping Jake, because he's my training partner now. He just did his first ever multiply meet at Relentless with me. There'll be times during training I'll be like, oh, you're doing this, stop doing this. And then I'll get underneath the bar and I'll do exactly what I just told him. And then I'm like, fucking don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. And I think he knows that I know that I felt that. And he doesn't say it. There's sometimes he'll say it, I'm like, fuck you. Or he'll say it on run time whenever we haven't said anything. He's like, oh, that didn't look that good. And what the fuck are you talking about? It looked good. And then I look at the video and I'm like, okay, I'll just listen to him now.
But isn't that one of the best things? I've found me coaching other people was honestly one of the best things for me.
Yeah.
Because then I'm always looking at all this stuff. And as I'm telling people this, I'm like, oh shit, am I doing that? Am I remembering to get this tight or to root this or to do that? And which is why I always wanted the people on my team. It's like, it's a requirement. You will learn. Like, you're not coming here just to throw plates. You're not coming here to get to do this. You're here to coach as well. You know,
when I first started, I did not care about learning, because Greeno, like I keep mentioning these names, but Michael Greeno, he's been single ply and raw, trained with Al Caslow back in the day whenever they were just in the storage unit, and then when we moved to an actual gym, he's the one that pulled me out of a Gold's Gym. I mean, I was out of college football, driving forklifts, or working at Sam's Club, one of the two. And I was just going to the gym, just being a bro. I did legs this day. I always did legs on Monday. And the only reason, International Chest Day. Fuck you. I'll squat. That was the only reason. And I'd work up to 400 or 500 pounds. And back when Inzer, the only time I ever had Inzer anything other than the belt, those Velcro sleeves that they had, the red and black ones, I had those. I didn't know what else to get. I had those, and I'd crank them down just with the Velcro, almost getting to rip the Velcro off, and I'd squat 405 for 10 or 500 for 10. And I just said, he walked up to us one day and was like, you're strong. Like, you should come compete powerlifting. I'm like, I looked up, I was like, I'm not doing it unless I can win. He says, hey, you could probably win. And I'm like, whatever. And we just go from there. But it was just like, eventually that came from that. And whenever he's like, all right, so what do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't care. Just write the program. I don't want to sit there and figure anything out.
Yeah.
Just write the program, and that's all I want to do. I'll just look at it. He goes, no, that's not what we're doing. I'm writing the program, but you're going to have to learn why we're doing this, why this movement does this, why this movement does that. And at the time, he's very smart. At the time, I would beg to say we could have each said one thing, and he'd be like, yeah, you're right. Now his training and coaching profile has gone up so much that he, who knows what the hell. I can somewhat tell, like, okay, I know why you're doing this. And then he'll pull something out of his ass and has him do this. I'm like, I have no fucking clue. Yeah. Like, he's been coaching so much longer than I have. And I don't even really coach. I kind of just like, I don't necessarily think I've ever want to coach. I kind of like just being the hands-on, looking from a distance. If you ask me for help, I got no problem helping you.
Right.
I love coaching in a different aspect. I'd love to coach football or something like that. But one-on-one, it's hard for me, because it's like, do you have that thing? And I don't even know what that thing is, but it's just that one thing. It's like, how far can you be pushed? That's what I want to know, because I don't want to be that guy that is a dickhead. That's like, you did this, you said that, he's too, like, he to this. Like, no, I'm not trying to be like that. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to do that. But I just want to know if you get it, if you got this, if we can go this route.
Yeah.
And that's what I vary on that, because it's like that risk. Like, I don't want to, as much as I want to, I don't want to, because I don't want to be the one that falls off, Yeah,
I can understand. Coaching's an interesting venture. Like, when I was competing, I never really wanted to be necessarily a coach. Like, I didn't charge anybody when I was competing. It was like, you're on the team and you're part of this team. And I would help people out on the sides, and I still did seminars and all that stuff. And it wasn't until afterwards when I decided I wanted to start coaching.
Yeah.
For money, for a living. And it's definitely a different avenue. But I don't train. I train such a wide variety. I mean, I got clients in their 70s.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, our goal is quality of life, man. I want you to enjoy your retirement for as long as goddamn possible, because you worked your ass off.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different thing. And then I'm working with a girl right now getting ready for a figure competition, which most people are like, you're helping a figure. I'm like, yeah, I can train anything. Like, I've got so much experience, whatever you want, I can train it. And then I got my powerlifter guys, and then I got my football guys, and they're all a little different, and you got to train them all a little different. And then the personalities is the biggest thing, which I think is kind of what you're talking about. Is it's like, okay, how do I motivate this person? How far can I push this person? Where does this person really want to go?
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of people that talk a big thing, and I'm like, but if your dedication doesn't meet your goal, then we need to readjust your goal. And I got another podcast I did. I gotta try to load up today, where I was talking about dedication and consistency. And I'm like, if your goal doesn't meet your goal doesn't meet the dedication and consistency you're going to put in, you're setting yourself up for failure. I would rather set you up for success. So you're like, I want to bench 405. It'd be like, well, wait a minute. According to what you're telling me, we can get you to 365. Would you be happy with 365? And most of the time they're like, yes. And if they go, no, I'm not, I want 405. Okay, then you got to tell me you're going to give me more consistency and dedication. Because I want success,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be a world record holder. I'm like, okay, well, how far are you willing to go? Because what you're telling me is not enough.
You saying like, well, what's your goal? And then you're like, well, this last guy that we worked with, and I love working with my training partners. So if you want to work with me, let's train together. Name is Luke Ross. He was 660 pounds.
Holy shit,
but he's lost so much weight. He's down to like 340 whenever he was training with us, and now he ended up leaving the gym just because they travel so far. He's at one of the local gyms now doing a bodybuilding. It's like 320 pounds now or something like that. He's losing weight again. But his main thing was confidence. And that's the one thing I love. It's like, I can give you confidence. I know I can coach confidence. And that was the main thing with him. I was like, what's your goal? He goes, oh, maybe. I was like, no. What's your goal? Well, what do you mean? What the fuck do you mean? What do I mean? What's your goal? He goes, well, what do you think what I think I can do or what? I was like, shut the fuck up. What is your goddamn goal? He goes, well, and I said, no, Luke, you're not getting it. What's the fucking goal?
Why are you here?
That someone's going to tell you that's too much. Don't think about that. Think realistically. What's your goal? He goes, well, I want to squat what I used to weigh. I'm like, okay. Now, what's your goal for this? Well, about this. And then he ended up setting a goal for 500 pounds on the squat at the meet. He ends up squatting 500 pounds at the meet. And there'd be times during training, he would take his last warm up and it'd be dog shit. And I'd look at him and be like, you do anything remotely close to that, you're going to miss it. And there was times like I knew I could talk to him the way that, I could talk to myself.
Yeah.
There was times that if somebody heard us, over the edge, like it was a little too much, but he would respond perfect because he knew where I was coming from, and he would listen, look at me, and he'd hit it. He just nailed the weight. There was one time after a deadlift session, I told him, I was talking to him, got him motivated. He pulled it, walked up, and said, "There you go." He looked at me, he goes, "I wanted to fucking punch you." And I was like, I understand. So let's bring it back down now.
Yeah.
Like, and anything I say, I'm just trying to get you fired up. I'm not actually meaning it like that. I'm just trying to fire you up.
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah. Kind of like ready to hit you.
What Dave says when he coaches people, and he's like, and the people on the internet are like, "Why are you just saying this? That's not wrong." And Dave's like, "Listen, you don't understand. I'm telling them what they need to hear." And I think a lot of times what you're saying is, yeah, it may have seemed mean, it may have made him angry, but you were telling him what he needed to hear to get that lift.
Yeah.
And that's actually a fun part of the game. Like, I love the mental side of powerlifting way more than the physical side. I like the physical side. I love the mental side.
The mental side is the most fascinating side to me. But on meet day, he goes up to the platform, and we knew he was going to pull over 600. And he goes up to the platform, and he's like, "I just want to do a state record." And we knew he had more, but it's like, let's just take the state record, 2.5 kilos over it. And I walk up behind him, and his wife's handling him, and I walk up behind him, and this is where I don't see anything bad. I walk up, and I'm fighting tears because I know what's about to happen.
Yeah.
Just because, like, I helped switch to him. I grabbed him on the back of the neck, and I was like, regardless of what happens, you've earned everything you've needed to do to pull this weight. I'm proud of you regardless. I walk off, and I'm sitting there. I'm sitting down, and I'm actually taking photos of the meet at that meet. And then he paid me to take his photos. I'm sitting there taking the photos. And I just got lucky getting the photos because half the time I'm not watching.
Yeah.
Because he pulls up to the top. I hit the perfect photo at the top, and he sits it down. And it just instantly, I turned around and just stood there, said congrats, and I just stood there. And a couple people on the side, they're like, hey, Frank. And I just went, no, hold on. And they all started laughing because they knew I was getting choked up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that's my training partner. Like, no confidence coming into this. All the confidence in the world. It's like, that was massive to me.
Yeah.
So it was great seeing that happen.
I get more emotional with my training partner and my clients than I ever did with myself.
Oh, 100%.
I'm like, yeah, I knew I was going to get it. Whatever. Big deal. And with them, I'm like fucking in tears half the time.
Yeah.
I get done with a meet when I'm helping people and I'm like, God damn it, I got to start competing again. It's way easier.
Oh, that was the greatest thing about scratching my third attempt deadlift, scratching my third attempt squat. Much as I didn't want to, I was able to be right there next to Jake for his third attempts. And that's the thing is like I want to see him succeed as much as I want to see myself succeed.
Yeah,
I know he has a chance to do stuff too, so it's like I want to be right there.
Right.
Because I think that's what I think going on from now. This might be the last meet we do together. Because I told him I was like, I just want to handle you.
Yeah,
I want you to have to not worry about anything and let me just handle you. So then we can make sure the back room's good. We can make sure the knee wraps are good. The straps are set. So now trying to figure out what meet's going on.
That's a big key to being a team though too.
Yeah.
Like when I had my team, it's guys are like, hey, I want to do this meet. Okay, well then I'll help you at this meet if you'll help me at this meet. And like it makes a big difference going to a meet knowing you got a guy, you're there to lift. That guy's going to take care of everything else. Like that's a cool thing.
Yeah.
Jeff,
it's special whenever you be able to get somebody like that.
Yeah. So we're going on about 2.5 hours, and I could probably keep talking, but I think we'll go ahead and end this here. This has been like a fucking fun podcast for me.
Yeah.
Fun conversations, fun talking. Really appreciate you being on. I pretty much ask everyone if they'll be on again at some other point. Because I think every podcast I've had with every person, I'm like, dude, there's still more to talk about. So it would be cool to have you on again at some point. And I'm excited to see where you're going to go from here. I'm excited to hear about your training and the things you're doing differently. Because it seems like you're way more evolved now. Like, which you should be. You're older. As we get older, we should get more involved. I know you're doing awesome photography shit. So if anybody's listening and they need a photographer for their competitions or just to film them, like how do people get a hold of you for that?
No, you can either just contact me on my Instagram at Jeff.Frank or at Shutter Sport Productions. Not sports, Shutter Sport Productions.
Yeah, I confuse that because you see that one S and
you
kind of mess it up. Yeah.
So I always tell people there's only 3 S's in the whole name, not 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. And your photography is you do some fucking awesome shots.
I appreciate it. Really I had Adam Revere basically to help for a lot of it. He came in and just kind of changed the game, and then I just reached out and was like, what do I need to do to get better? He told me, and now we kind of work hand in hand. Anytime I have a meet that I need help at, I call him. Anytime he has a meet, he calls me.
Yeah, that's cool. So. All right, Jeff, thank you for being on. You guys check out his Instagram. More big things coming. I know you've contacted AJ and you guys are talking, and there's some cool
we already got that meet picked out.
Cool shit coming up, which is going to be a blast. And thanks again for being on, man. This was awesome.
Yeah, it was great. I'm sure there's a lot more for us to talk about, so I'm sure I'll be back.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for listening to the Courage Barbell Unlimited podcast. For more information, please visit CourageBarbell.com. Until next time.